Okay. Okay. HTTPS // StreamYard.com /ASAW2V6AKZ. KZ. Okay. That looks good. Aha, Sith, I see you. Yes, Sith, I'm going to drop the link right now. I'm going to have to do it manually, of course. So, let me try to do that. Okay, post a comment. HTTPS. Okay. //StreamYard.com /ASAW2V. It's hip to B square 6AKZ. Drop that bitch right there. Let's hope that works. Let's hope this works now. Oh, what's up, Kwai? I see you, Kwai. Yeah, Kwai. So me, or I shouldn't say me, I should use proper English. I do speak the Queen's English. Myself, Pulse Kebab, Sith, and Angler. We were hanging out in Polska's stream, and then Polska decided to be a drunken Polak, and then he gets all belligerent, And then he ended the stream. Sith and I were talking about secret societies of all things, and I was asking Sith what he thinks about the Jesuits, and I was explaining to Sith that my father is essentially a Jesuit. So he said, "Yeah, so you can start a stream." Okay. Oh, I see you, Sith. You just popped in, bro. So I'm gonna let you in right now. You should be in. Let's hope your connection is better. Sith, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you definitely.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can hear you as well. Hopefully your connection improves.
Yeah, I'm outside. That's why sometimes it cuts.
I
To
see.
do
I see. What time is it over there
in
in
France.
France? What is it like? Noon right now?
It's 11 a.m.
11. Right. You guys are like, I don't know, 7 hours, 8 hours ahead, something like that. Okay, very good.
Yeah, it's a good day. Good day on this dirt planet.
There you
That's
go. There you go.
And what I think about the Jesuits is that they are knowledge about the universe and the human perception. The third eye and the 666 are linked. They are.
Yeah, talk to me. Talk to me all about that. I claim to believe in some of that stuff. Okay, I see Angler. Angler, I'm going to let you in 3, 2, 1. There we go. You should be in as well.
Yep. Hey, fellas.
Yes, very good. Yeah, it seems. I'm assuming Angler, your connection is going to be solid. Sith seems to be in and out. At first, he came in nice and strong, but I don't know. Now it seems like he's in and out too. It's probably just his connection.
Yeah. Yep. I think distance can probably cause that. So.
Yeah. Anyway, what's on your mind? What have you been up to? I haven't spoken with you in a week.
Uh, Same old, man. Nothing's really changed since the last time I talked to you. And
Getting any pussy?
No.
That's a joke, but okay. Oh man, you should.
There he is. Like I said, I just kind of want to sit here and I might chime in here and there, but I just.
I've been getting Muslim pussy. I don't know if you hear me. You heard me?
Yes, I did. I did hear you. You've been getting Muslim pussy.
Yeah, they're quite easy. They love white cock. That's why.
They love white cock, do they?
Yeah.
Let's see. What kind of Muslims? Like Albanians or Moroccans,
Mm.
Algerians, maybe
Ah,
Algerians.
it was an Algerian. She was named Mira. She had giant boobs and a big ass. Not a small belly. I just say that. I was horny. She wanted to fuck. So I did it.
Sounds good to me, man.
As long as some of them look quite. She was very attractive. I think. I'll give her an 8.
Okay, very good.
And they've been so westernized that they behave like white women.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
She talked to me during the night about the jobs she did and all the money she earns and all that bullshit. I say, yeah, good. Yeah, you're gonna buy a house? Oh, yeah, good. And she told me, you can come to my house when I buy it. Yeah, of course. I'll come and fuck you. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, she told me, I will give you a good dinner. And you already gave me a good dinner. Well, they cook well. Some of them cook well. That's something for sure. They could be good wives, but they're whores, so whatever.
Well, these days, if you can get a good dinner and a shot of guts out of a night,
Yeah.
I don't blame the guy. No.
Well, what I say about diversity is that it gives you different colors of pussy. That's a good way to investigate your skills as a man.
Yep. Now, Sith, weren't you just describing 666?
Yeah, I think 666 is the equation that gives you the answer about the universe. It's linked to the atomic nuclei, I think. There's something like that. I heard it's linked to that. And
Yeah, I don't know. Have you heard of what's his name? Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla, in some of his writings, he spoke about the connection. Oh, what is it? He's got a good quote. He said, "If you want to understand, if you want to I can't remember. He's got a couple good quotes. One of his quotes is, "You want to understand the relationship between 3, 6, and 9, and how if you understand the relationship between 3, 6, and 9, you'll understand the relationship between, like, I don't know, the microcosm and the macrocosm. Have you heard of any of this? Sith?
He dropped out again, man.
Oh yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, he keeps dropping out. That's so sad.
There he is. Now,
yeah,
I've kind of wondered about that too, Cowboy. Like, just within my own reading and my own thinking, like when you have identical numbers, you have all these different analogies that try to describe things, like universally and all that. And I wonder if that doesn't, relate to, all things becoming a full circle or anything like that. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys.
it seems to be linked to the circle representation. I think 666 is also linked to the sphere, the drawing of the sphere.
What? I don't claim to know. I think I think the people that run the world, I think some of them, not all of them, but some of them worship the planet Saturn. Have you heard of any of this, Sith?
Saturn is a god is a Greek Roman god. I don't know what Saturn was in the Greek theology as a god.
I think it was Kronos.
The god of time. Yeah, I might worship time, but time is just a concept made by us. It doesn't really exist. It's just a passage. It's just movement. That's all. We simply describe it as the past. Does not. That's something.
Oh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up real bad, bro. You're breaking up real. I can't hear a word you're saying. I see Corey Slater. What's up, Corey?
Hey, Corey. Yeah, Sid, I don't know if you're up walking around or anything, but if you can find a place to where your connection is good and pop a squat, that would probably help the conversation.
Right. Anyway, yeah. I guess I was hoping to have this conversation with Sith, but his connection is so shoddy.
Can you hear me better, or does it still cut?
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. That this guy seems like he's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
So you say that the elites worship Saturn, so the god of time, from the Roman times.
So what I'm saying is okay. This is me sharing in a nutshell kind of what I think, specifically talking about this topic. First off, I don't claim to know definitively. Okay, I do claim to have researched some of this, and from my understanding is yes, secret societies do exist. Yes, secret knowledge does exist, and I think that the various secret societies, maybe they don't even have all of it, but some of them have pieces of it, and they purposely keep the knowledge from the general public, and they want to create a differential in knowledge because that differential in knowledge helps them create and perpetrate a differential in power. Does any of that make any sense, Sith?
Yeah, it does make sense because I think that knowledge goes back to the Mesopotamian times and the Egyptian times. It goes back. The Middle East
maybe.
is
maybe even before that. Maybe even before that. So then the questions arise: who are these secret societies? Number one, and what do they know? So if you listen to people like David Icke, have you ever heard of David Icke? Hey, Mgtow Values, what's up, man? I see you. Mgtow Values, do you know anything about secret societies? We were supposed to have a very quick conversation, maybe like an hour-long conversation about secret societies. If you claim to know anything about secret societies, feel free to call in. You're a very eloquent speaker, and I'd love to have you on, frankly. I thought Mgtow was a secret society. Yes, I sort of see Mgtow as a secret society, and I've spoken about that at length. I think that we need to become like a silent order of men, and I'm stealing that term from King Mgtow. That's what he says. We ought to become a silent order, a silent order of men. We basically know the truth about female nature.
But we have to be decentralized.
You can't just share it freely because you'll get busted. You'll get harangued. Frankly, we're getting to the point where you could actually get arrested. I think you definitely lose your job.
But we need to be decentralized. We cannot have a centralized head of the Hydra. Yeah.
There is no central command in Mgtow. I thought Mgtow Cowboy was the central command.
I was going to say I thought Mgtow Values was the forward operating base.
If you think about it, secret societies, they have no centralized power. You don't know who leads them. You don't know who manages the secret societies. We have just speculations. We don't have anything confirmed.
Yeah. Who came up with, was it the Silent Order of Men? Who came up with that? Was that the right thing?
Yeah, right. So that is not an original thought by me. I use that term to describe Mgtow now, but I'm stealing that. I don't want to take credit, for another person's idea. Kingy, you guys remember Kingy?
Oh
yeah,
Kingy. Yeah, I know Kingy Mgtow. I watched his stuff. He's good man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great line. Silent Order of Men. This is super.
Yeah.
I just wrote it.
He has a large library. He has a large library of work, and in one of his videos, he specifically coined that term. He said that he thinks that Mgtow constitute a silent order of men, and these men are men who have essentially secret knowledge that the general public does not know. And right, we talk about it. We talk about it all the time. We claim to know about women, hybristophilia, hypergamy, solipsism. The female dual mating strategy, or what do we call it? Alpha. I can say it on my. I don't care on my stream. I swear. Alpha fucks, beta bucks, or alpha seed, beta need. And so anyway, so Sith and I, we were in another stream, and we started talking about secret societies. And I was asking him about like the Jesuits. We were talking about. We started talking about gematria. You know any? Do you know anything about this Mgtow values?
Yes, I do. I know a great deal about it.
I'm
going to say I'm not alone in Mgtow in knowing a great deal about at least some of this stuff. The red pilling is not only a red pilling of women and the community, it's also a red pilling of this occult or hidden knowledge or esoteric knowledge. And part of the disposability of men comes from groups such as the Bilderberg group or that Davos group or the Council of 300 or the Order of the Garter. And so there have been these secret societies, the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, and the Freemasons,
Absolutely.
of course, all
Absolutely.
the way back.
Can you talk to us about what you think you know about any one of these groups or these groups in general? Like, for example, the Jesuits, or you mentioned the Rosicrucians. All of these groups are fascinating.
Well, the Jesuits are a Catholic men's organization that is dedicated to knowledge, but knowledge of Catholic principles. However, one of the features of the early Jesuits telescopes and became astronomers at the very point that telescopes were invented. So part of this secret knowledge, I believe, comes from an understanding of what those lights in the night are. And whoever controls that information is the highest in the totem pole of secret societies. And the highest, at the very top of that totem pole, is an understanding of the creation of the universe. And he who controls that secret knowledge and claims to have closer connection to it wields power in rooms that, we don't get to. And I think part of the issue with Trump being so anathema to the world was that he came up with his space force.
I'm sorry, you said, do you mean anathema?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never heard it pronounced
anathema. Sorry, it's anathema too. I'm not sure whether one's British or American, or whether I got a specifically Canadian take on the word. Right.
No, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to learn that pronunciation. That sounds very sophisticated.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but that's the way I had heard it. So anathema or anathema, I know that as well. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of words like that, and again, he who controls language also has power in this secret society.
Sure, absolutely. I've heard theories that some people believe that the English language in particular, was purposely created as like this very scientific language that can be used. It's like the use of compound words and such. It can help. It can help trick people. That the language itself is constructed in this manner so that it's easy to introduce doublespeak. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Yeah, but I would go against it. I taught grammar for about 10 years, and I looked into all of this, and there is no systemic hidden hand behind it. It seems to be ad hoc, and if you look at Middle English and Old English, which I did, and the compound word things is a German thing. They can make these words that are like 50 letters long. They just string words together. And we can do that in English. We just use hyphens, and it's normally as an adjective. But yeah, the English language, any consistent language will eventually create what might be called a constructive interference or a destructive interference that allows through some of this esoteric knowledge, whatever language it is, if you use it long enough and consistently enough, including the language of music.
can you offer an example of that? Because I'm sorry, I did not completely understand it.
Do you think Latin and Greek are mystical languages?
No, I think the mystical languages are Sumerian and Egyptian hieroglyphics and cuneiform, whether in Sumerian or Akkadian. I think those are the mystical languages. And from those, we get Phoenician. And from Phoenician, we then move into Greek, Hebrew, and Latin.
Well, that's a great question. That's a great question right there. Who
Yes,
the hell
yeah.
who were the Phoenicians? I claim to have a decent grasp, understanding of history. To this day, I don't even know who those people were. Who were
Yeah,
the
they-
Phoenicians?
Are not Phoenicians the ancestors of the current Jews?
No, they're the
I don't. They
the
call them
neighbors.
sea people. The sea people.
Yeah. The Phoenicians are the Lebanese.
I see.
Lebanon, Tyre and Biden, or
Sure,
Sidon
sure.
and Tyre, and now
Sure.
Beirut. So they're the Phoenicians.
Tyre is like a city, like
Yeah.
5 miles out to sea or something.
No, it's right on the coast. It's just up from the border with Palestine.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the Phoenicians did Carthage as well, and they were seagoing people, but they got their initial language from the Egyptians. The old Egyptian turned into an alphabet.
Oh, seems like
Sorry.
you cut out there for a second. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
you're
no.
back. Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm back. So the Phoenician is the first sort of alphabetic language, and from that we got Hebrew, Greek, and then from that we got Latin.
You also got Aramaic and Arabic, which
That's
are
right.
descended.
That's right, and they came from Phoenician apparently. Although if you look at the comparison of the letters, it gets distant in some of the letters. I had some trouble seeing Hebrew from Phoenician and Arabic from Phoenician. Aramaic, I see that, and I see some connection between Aramaic, which was basically spoken Hebrew, and Hebrew. I can sort of see that, but
Okay.
Now, from your linguistic studies and being an expert in that, are there any clues to the reason why that there isn't one universal language, like why languages split off? I mean, is it like a tribal thing, or?
Well, again, I'm going to throw out something which I think is esoteric knowledge at the very height, which is that there are different civilizations. And the one that we belong to, I believe everyone here, is the wider Western civilization, which is 6,000 years old, starting in ancient Persia, Mesopotamia, and Egypt, through Anatolia, Europe, and each of these areas in the past had a mentor. And in the book of Daniel, they were referred to as watchers, the Nephilim. However, in the Mesopotamian text, we also had the same words used, that there were entities that were not human coming from the skies, and they were instructing humans. And ultimately, I'm looking at a number of different ones having different languages to see which one would work best with humans. And so what it is that they planted a genetic seed across the whole planet and then sent mentors down. They sent one to the Chinese, didn't quite work out. They sent one to the Indians, didn't quite work out, and so on and so on. However, with the ancient Mesopotamians, they did really well in mathematics and architecture and writing. So did the Egyptians, and then they got into interesting building projects and could handle it very well. And so they, I think, were the chosen people, and things happened. So the different languages are as a result of different mentors, and we see the mentors still flying around in the sky watching us in the form of, say, the Tic Tac off the east coast of or west coast of the United States, and the gimbal and the acorn and the pyramids and all these craft, the Foo Fighters, and all the way back 6,000 years in history. They're watching us.
Do you think that before us there were titans on Earth? Giant humans?
Yeah, the Titans appear to be the first generation after the primordial watchers. So they were the first generation. Prometheus gave us fire, and Atlas was in charge of the holding up the sky, as it were. And they were defeated by the Olympians, which is the second generation. So that's where we are now. And that switch occurred in the deluge. So we moved from the mentors getting involved with humans, and as we see in the Book of Enoch and a number of other books, having sex with humans and having hybrids. This is in those books. I can't believe I'm reading this, So then we had to move to a different plan, and we had the War of the Titans. They were thrown out, and the Olympians came in, and we're now in control. And they're just watching us.
I was just listening to a stream today. I was not able to catch all of it. It was your stream, Mgtow Values, and you were talking a little bit about this.
Yes, I was. I do that occasionally, and I've done quite a lot of research in the past few years. I'm doing a book on metaphysics and epistemology and ontology, which is where we are and how we came to be here ultimately.
So is it fair? Is it fair to say
what are
that?
Your thoughts on?
Go ahead, Sid.
What are your thoughts on the fossils that the scientists claim to find about the dinosaurs and the hominids? You think it's all fake?
The dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Well, I think the most interesting thing we can come up with as humans is a collapse of the wave function, which means you change a wave function into a particle. And we see this in the double slit experiment. This is the greatest power that humans have that I'm aware of, to change.
Wait. I'm sorry. Wait. I'm sorry. Please just repeat what you said. The what now?
The collapse of a wave function. And so you want to look up a double slit experiment. And this was done initially in the early 1800s, but in earnest, it started in the 1920s. And what they see and how they describe it is, and again, this is a modern scientific experiment that is repeatable always. It's easy to do. Everyone's doing it every day, almost, at universities around the world. It's not that hard. So you change a wave function, which is not a particle, into a particle by looking at it. Consciousness is involved in the creation of particles. Now,
I've heard of this. Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue. Go ahead.
So if a particle has already been collapsed from a wave function, you cannot just come along and recollapse it. So the rule is, once it's collapsed for one conscious creature, it's collapsed that way for all conscious creatures, as long as there's information about that collapse. So what's happening is that if somebody has an idea about something, that there's information available to a conscious creature, which is almost redundant, then what happens is that human being can collapse a wave function into reality. Thus, the funny thing is with dinosaur bones is we don't see any dinosaur bones in history in any collection of any king or emperor or anyone until someone had the idea that there would be these bones in the ground.
So what
my
you say
thinking,
is that,
yeah.
What you say is that humans create reality with their minds. They can
If that reality has not already been created by someone else in a different way, yeah.
That's interesting. That's the point that some scientists think that we are living in a big simulation.
Yes, however, it's not a simulation. This is as real as it can get. And it's quite stable, so don't worry about making it unstable. It's very difficult. Because once it's collapsed for one sentient creature, one conscious creature, it's that way for everyone. So you're not going to go around changing stuff easily.
So in layman's terms, it almost sounds like you believe what you see.
Yeah.
Yes. But you don't have much of a choice, really.
So you think the Earth flat or the Earth round is made up by us, by thinking it?
No. We cannot change something that's already, if there's information about the shape of the Earth and someone knows that information, we cannot change it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's something that cannot be proven because maybe if you think about it, the proof will appear.
No,
What
you
you
cannot. If somebody else has a different idea and there's information about that idea, then you cannot just change it because the world is stable. We see it as stable, it's stable.
Now, does this theory go as deep as becoming genetical?
Sorry, it's becoming what?
Can this theory go as deep as, being ingrained in people's genetics?
Well, yeah. Um, there is a genetic component to our experience here. So, yeah,
Okay.
we're all probably created as part of a genetic set from the initial life
Okay,
form
so
in this universe.
Mgtow values. Would you say are you familiar with the work of Zachariah Sitchin?
Yes, I am.
Okay, it sounds to me from everything that you're saying, you 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 believe you very much agree with a lot of what he has to say that there are other beings that are more advanced than us and they
Yes.
made us.
Yes.
Okay, now I understand you. Okay.
And those creatures have been identified recently and admitted to by the Pentagon as the flyers of that Tic Tac craft, which the Pentagon has admitted to. And they have video, they have Aegis radar, and they have multiple credible whistleblower eyewitness testimony confirmed. And so we have evidence of a technology that is incredibly advanced from us.
do you think everything that lives has a soul or an energy outside its body?
Sorry, I missed some of that question.
Do you think everything that lives in the universe can exist once it dies? That it has an energy, a soul?
So
Oh, I
basically,
see.
do you believe in a soul?
Yes. Well, again, it's sort of difficult to define what a soul is. I've never read a good one. Um, Plato, originally in the West at least, defined it as that entity which can understand things we cannot see, like ideas of equality or hoarseness. So he defined it that way. When you happen, there's an impossibility of continuing to live. So uh, the laws of physical nature, which have unified in your being, are now no longer to remain unified. So your sentience, your consciousness will go back into the law of physical nature consciousness. This is what I'm thinking.
So that
So basic,
your soul goes back to the universe itself.
like yeah. But now it sounds like you're talking about the idea of reincarnation. Like once you die, your consciousness gets split into a million different pieces, and then it gets it gets taken up again by people that are born again by new consciousness.
Yeah,
Well,
it's your
yeah, there's a number of laws of physical nature: time, causality, materiality, entanglement, consciousness, and these are bundled in each sentient creature, each conscious creature. And there has to be a conscious creature to have a universe. So this is a conscious creatures. But the conscious creature, like everything else, has a time limit. And so the laws of physical nature within that creature break up. Now, if you die, uh, there may be a way that in the time between your physical death and the time that your consciousness is washed, that you can make your way to a different body or something. We have enough testimony, I believe, by people who have died for multiple hours, returned to their body and had something to say about it. So that means that uh, uh, that the connection between a consciousness and a physical body or a brain is not one of cause and effect, but it's coincidence. So the
Hmm.
consciousness can exist separate from a living human body.
what are your thoughts about the pineal gland? You know, the thing
The
that
what? Sorry.
the pineal gland inside our brain. The pineal
final.
gland. The pineal gland.
Oh, the
pineal
pineal gland.
The pineal
Yeah.
gland. Sorry.
Ultimately, the consciousness does not arise from the brain. As I said, in an after-death experience, the brain is not functioning, and yet consciousness comes back into the body later on. So it's not a matter of any one organ or any one part of the brain or two parts of the brain or 100 parts of the brain. The consciousness latches on to the whole human situation, which is unified in the physical form.
So it's your all cells that are your consciousness, that are connected to your consciousness.
Yes, however, I wouldn't want to nail it down to every cell. I don't think that cause and effect connection, as David Hume said, we cannot ever get to a finality, a final understanding of anything. So if you're looking for a final analysis, you're not going to get to it. It's going to morph around and come back into some other question.
And I have another question. Why do the elites want to vaccinate the entire population? Is that to disconnect their bodies from their souls? Something like that? So they
Okay.
don't reincarnate?
No, well, maybe, but it quickly towards some new horizon, whatever that is. In my thinking, there is an entity which created this universe via a collapse of a wave function type approach, as visible in the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment.
That's
so this entity wants us to join the other entities it has created and fly around in these Nephilim space vehicles, as Mgtow Smurf calls.
Or aliens, something like that.
Yeah.
People, yeah.
Alien. But there are cousins. They have the same genetic makeup. We're all cousins. And they want us to join them. But humans are too unpredictable. And we have this great power that we have been prevented from seeing. But once we understand what this power is, some people may be able to use it. But if you can use it in a certain way, you may be able to turn a glass of water into a thermonuclear device.
That's interesting. So you think that that creator or those creators, do you think they are good or evil, or they are neutral? They don't.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I think that we want to think of it as a farmer and a herd. That the creator, which we can call demiurge after Plato, it's a species which is farming us. And a farmer can love the herd, and it can also be afraid of the herd. And it will also kill the herd to save itself. And it will also use the herd for the resources it needs. But it's a farmer. So it's not a hate-love thing. It's like a farmer farmed relationship.
It's utility. It's imagine
Utility.
a man. I was watching a video. I was watching a video today of these farmers in Arkansas, and they put up this literally a pig pen. Apparently, the south of the United States is being overrun by these wild hogs, and as the story goes, some doofus brought over, like, I think it's called the Eurasian hog to North America, and whatever, some of them got loose and they started to mate with like the North American pig, and it created like this hybrid pig. And so there's like this new pig, and there's like millions of them running around mostly the South, like especially 4 or 5 states, and they're very destructive.
It's the
Anyway,
Spanish that it's the
I'm
Spanish
sorry?
that brought it's the Spanish that brought the wild pigs to Texas in the 1600s, because
Okay.
they gave away cheap meat in about 1 year. So it's a good tool.
Yeah, right. And yeah, so anyways, that's sort of what I wanted to get to, was the idea that these hogs, they're very destructive and all that, but these farmers, okay, these hogs are very destructive to these farmers, and so the farmers will catch the hogs and they kill them. And the idea is, well, again, I can't even put it as well as Mgtow Farmer said it. It's this farmer relationship. These farmers, they fear these hogs. An adult male hog can like charge you and kill you and like gore you. At the same time, if you raise them, you can also eat them. So it's like this love-hate relationship where they're good, but they're also bad. But but men are afraid of them, especially the male bulls. And anyway, I'm sorry, it's a bad analogy. But.
No, that was it exactly. It's a very complicated relationship, but as I discovered, all life needs resources. So if it's investing 6,000 years in watching us, that's 6,000 years of massive resources. So it's got to be getting something from us. It needs something. It has to get that resources.
What do you
Is that
can
the
we-
energy? Is that the energy of our souls that it feeds up? That it feeds upon?
Yeah, that's the Stitchin and Rudolf Steiner idea, but no, I don't think there's enough energy in that. I could be wrong.
It could be the energy we output in the universe by working.
No, I don't think there's any measurable resource there. I can't. It's never been measured, so I don't think there's enough energy. This is the Matrix idea that we're human batteries, or that our thoughts somehow create some energy we can't see or measure. I don't go for that. I go for the measurable. If we go to that first, then we know that humans have a great power in that we can collapse a wave function, which is a wave of if we then we can collapse a wave function of a universe, and that's what I think we did.
I understand.
So
what would be the best? What would be the best book that you could recommend to start out, studying wave function?
Oh, just go up online and watch the double slit experiment in videos and stuff, and then look into the the problems with it. When you pull up the plug to the computer, it somehow knows you did it, and then if you remove consciousness from the equation, it doesn't collapse. Consciousness in any way, it does not collapse. So you have to get information, which means you have to have a conscious creature collecting information.
And a question maybe no one ever asked to you. Do you think humans can create consciousness via artificial intelligence?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm of two minds. I don't know yet. I don't know. However, I do know that if it is possible that humans create an artificial intelligence, which is super intelligent, not just human intelligence or algorithmic, up at the third level, then this would be a threat to the demiurge.
So they will destroy us. Or they
That's
will
what I
destroy
think.
what?
Before we get to super intelligent, because it would also be afraid of that, because it would have the power that the demiurge would have.
Maybe that's what the demiurge is. Maybe that's what the demiurge is. I made a video about it saying that why can't God, or what we think of God, essentially be a supercomputer that came whatever from 10,000 light years away from whatever the other side of the galaxy, and it came here, and it's farming us. It starts out with it terraforms the earth, and then it builds an atmosphere, and then sends in some algae, and then the next step is simple whatever plankton in the ocean, or one cell organisms, and it built us in a way.
Okay, then the immediate question is, who built that supercomputer, or how did the supercomputer get built?
There you go.
So this is what I call the problem of infinite regress, and philosophers call it that, which is sort of like kicking the can down the road. Who made this? Who made that? All the way back. That's not going to be the answer to the question. There's something else involved.
Okay. Can we move back to talking about secret societies? Do you guys mind? Because that's sort of what I wanted to talk about, and I think that's a little bit more digestible, if you will. Can Mgtow values? can you talk to us about what you claim to know, or what you've at least heard about or researched about, anything and everything, like, is there a hierarchy? Okay, first off, let me ask you this: do you believe in secret societies?
Oh yeah,
Okay. Oh
they're
yeah,
probably
me too.
not so secret anymore. Some of them, but yeah.
Right, not so secret anymore. Okay. What's the purpose of secret societies? Before you joined, I was saying something like, I think that they exist to create and perpetuate a differential in knowledge. They don't want the general public having access to certain knowledge. Even in the past, I think that these secret societies had knowledge of, let's say, sanitation and plumbing, but they didn't want the general population to have it. But now they do. Um, but not. But it could be, many other technologies, or secrets. And the idea again is to
The
maintain this
the
differential in knowledge so that they can
the
create
secret
and maintain a differential in power. Does
the
any of that
secret
make sense?
the secret
Yeah, but
societies have knowledge about free energy and other stuff about the human soul.
think big. Think. Don't think about sanitation. Think about something really important. That's going to be really important to whatever it is that controls the universe as a whole, if there is such a thing. And so the secret knowledge is probably the knowledge of the Book of Enoch, which is what I'm going to say. Um, so if you can read the Book of Enoch and learn about the Watchers, the
Yes,
Minders, the
yes.
humans,
I was
and
just about to say, I never read the Book of Enoch, but I do remember. I think I went on Wikipedia just looking up what the Book of Enoch talks about. The Book of Enoch was one of the books that specifically was not allowed into the Bible, but it talks about, you just use the, I think the term is the Watchers. Is that
yep,
right?
yep. So the
So
Watchers
again,
is in Daniel, and the Book of Enoch actually is in the Bible, but it's just in the Syrian and Ethiopian versions.
aha, okay,
So yeah, no, there's that. Actually believed that it was true, and they deceived the rest of humans into thinking that it was just mythology and metaphor. However, if we look up in the skies and we see what's flying around, suddenly it becomes true again, and that's what they're trying to hide.
okay.
That's a great power up there.
How come these beings, how come they don't come out and reveal themselves to us?
Yeah, well, they maybe do, but they're just farmers tending to the farm. They have a job to do and they're doing it. Anyway, I got to run off for like 5 or 10 minutes. I'll be back. I just have to take care of
Sure,
something. Yeah.
sure.
But this concept of a farmer farming the herd is something I never heard before. Interesting.
Yeah, I remember hearing something very similar years ago from a gentleman, Stefan Molyneux. Have you ever heard of Stefan Molyneux?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, big
he's a
fan.
he's a philosopher. Yeah, he was banned
Yeah,
from
yeah, he's
YouTube.
a philosopher. He does a lot of good work. He basically says that. He says, in so many ways, not just like on a local level, but on an international level. Um, we are like cattle. We are like livestock, and we are being farmed by the powers that be. And they
Collect our
call the herd
workforce.
once in a while. They call the herd.
Yeah.
They extract energy from us. They know they have to give us some nutrient. They have to feed us, but they also extract from us. And it's again, I could not word it better than Mgtow values put it.
Well,
Basically, it's like a farmer and his flock. It's very much
uh,
like a relationship like that.
well, we should ask him about the guidestones, the Georgia guidestones, about his thought about that. Do you think it was put out there as a warning or as a plan?
I do. Yeah, I do. I do. Absolutely. That's exactly what I think. I think on some level, but I don't think it was put out there by aliens or anything. I think that there are human controllers, humans. Whether they interface with aliens or not, I don't know. I don't claim to know. Whether there are aliens, I don't claim to know. But yes, I think that the Georgia Guidestones are real. I
Oh,
think
they are.
Yeah, well, they absolutely are. Or at least my understanding is that they totally exist. What is it? One, two, three, four. I think there's like five interlocking stones, and they write in all these language, 6 or 8 languages. And yeah, no, I think that that's the ultra rich talking to us. Okay, you know what? Can I tell you guys a story? This is like a deep level. This really happened. This really happened. You guys want to hear a story?
Yes,
Absolutely.
talk about it.
Okay. So I was with this like dumb prostitute. And she had just her and I had just hung out, if you know what I'm saying. And she has no understanding of any of this, the occult, any of this stuff. And I had to go drop her off. Had to go drop her off home. And we are at the corner of Addison and Pulaski here in Chicago. And there's like a whatever, it's like a 7-Eleven. We're outside of this 7-Eleven, this convenience store. It's like 2 in the morning. And this do you guys know what a fasci is?
No.
A fasci? Okay. It's where we get the word fascism. A fasci is a hatchet with a a bundle of sticks surrounding it and bound together with cord. It's it is so I believe in symbolism. I think that essentially the ultra rich they communicate with each other using symbolism. Someone erected this huge fasci right at the corner of Addison and Pulaski, and it didn't have a plaque or anything. It wasn't dedicated to anything, and the building there at the northeast corner has always been like vacant for like 30 years. I have no idea what's going on in there or anything, but the point is, um, before that, someone erected before that, like 2 or 3 years before that, someone erected a super cube, a tesseract there, and it's the same thing. There was no there was no plaque. It wasn't dedicated to anything. It was just, I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. And then a couple years later, someone put up a fasci, and I'm trying to talk to her, and I'm like, hey, did you notice that there was a tesseract there like a year ago or 2 years ago? And she's like, huh, what, huh? Do you want me to blow you? I'm like, oh, you dumb bitch, And then whatever. I took her home. But the point is, no, I swear to God, I'm trying to talk to this woman about like how like the getting with and she's just like, huh, what, huh? You're gonna buy, give me money. I'm just like, oh, you dumb bitch. But yeah, like I'm sorry. I know it sounds crazy. I actually believe in some of this. I think essentially all these secret societies, it's all gangland. It's even like this with like within our government. Like the FBI will talk to the NSA, and the NSA will talk to the CIA. Like it's these little cliques. These little cliques.
I think
Go ahead.
I think it was very interesting that the fasci switched or the tesseract switched to the fasci or back and forth. These symbols only provide a constructive interference or destructive interference for a short time to get a glimpse of something. And these secret societies think that they can glimpse into the mind of that which created the universe and thus gain power from it. And I think, as you asked, that they're in competition with each other. I don't believe that there's any one power, that or human power at least, that has all the answers or anything, and that they're competing with other people who want to get close to whatever
Yes.
this source
That's
is.
that's exactly what I think. I think that these different factions, for example, I bring up the Jews. I think that some of them, not all of them, have secret knowledge. I think
Yeah.
the same thing. I think the same thing about the Jesuits. I think that the Jesuits have like, well, you talk about maybe they have secret astrological, understanding of our universe or something. I think
Yep.
it's something like that. And these are power groups, and sometimes they work together. Sometimes they're actually at war with each other,
Yep.
and they're constantly scanning. They're constantly trying to get control, and it's all this politicking, and it's all gangland.
However, let's go another level up and say that all war is fought through deception. And so these groups purposefully create manufactured destabilization on Earth to hide their true intentions, which is to attempt to overwhelm the power that has created the universe, which I think is a demiurge, a sentient creature that has the ability to collapse a wave function of
It's
this
interesting.
universe.
It's interesting that you use the term demiurge. I thought the word demiurge comes from the Quran. The Quran.
No, it comes from Plato in his last full work, the Timaeus, where he also, for the first time, introduced the term Atlantis into a wide readership. So this was Plato's last book.
What do you think about the monotheistic religions? Do you think it's a lie to manipulate the herd?
It's Plan B. That was the post-deluge after they got rid of the hybrid mentor types, the Nephilim. So
when you say the deluge, you mean like the story of the ark and all that?
Yeah, but it wasn't water. I read in a few documents that the deluge may not necessarily have been water. It looks like it was a plasma discharge from the sun, and we have the markings in the stones of the squatting man and other such symbols that look like exact things that happen if you're doing plasma experiments in a laboratory. And I got an astounding paper from this guy from Michael from this. Oh God, the name just slipped me out of Los Alamos Laboratory.
You know that now you bring the demiurge. There is the CERN experiment in Switzerland. I think they're trying to find the God particle.
Yes, but the demiurge is not a god, and that God particle is just a field to go, or a particle to go along with a field. So every field has a particle, and every particle has a field. So they found the field, or they seem to identify the field mathematically, and they wanted to find the particle that goes with that field. And it's not a big deal. It's just a lot of money for a lot of physicists to make a lot of money. So that's what I'm thinking about the CERN.
Can we, if you don't mind, Sith, I'm sorry to pull rank on you, but this is my stream. I'm sorry. No, but and that's
they were good questions, so I should answer them.
No, they are. No, they are.
No problem. Speak.
No, it's okay. It's okay. No, it's okay. And I guess, to be honest, I don't mind. You know what? Never mind. I take that back. I retract that.
What was your question, Cowboy? I was on to something. That was a tangential question.
No, that was a very good question. Essentially, I wanted to pick your brain. I wanted to talk more about secret societies because I don't claim, I claim to know a little bit about them, but I want to know more. And anyone who is learned in this area, I want to hear what they have to say. Like, for example, do you claim to have done any research on any particular? Basically, help me map the social landscape. Who are the major secret societies? What do you claim to know? What do you know about the Jesuits? What do you know about the Rosicrucians? What secret information do the Jewish rabbis have? Do you think? Or go ahead.
That was a lot of questions. Can I throw an image into the chat or something for you? I don't know how to do this on StreamYard. Or share a screen or something.
I'm not sure how to. I'm sorry. I really don't know how to use StreamYard too well.
Okay, neither do I. So what I got here is I'm looking at an image of something I made, and I can send it to you later. But I did research into the Freemasons, the Orphics, the Pythagoreans, the Mithrans, the Assassins, the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, and the Awakening, which is what's happening now. And this stretches back 6,000 years. My favorite group are the Orphics, so I put myself in with Orpheus.
Say that nice and slow. The aura what?
Orphics from Orpheus.
Ooh, I'm sorry, I don't know that one. I love it when
So that's the one that's hidden the deepest. But you look into the story of Orpheus and what that means. And then there's a whole school of esotericism around Orpheus. And it was very rich a couple of thousand years ago, and it's been hidden ever since. And
is this like the what's it called, the of Set, the Temple of Set, the cult of Set or something?
No, this would be more this would be a Greek understanding of previous interventions by the demiurge and the rest of the Watchers.
Okay, so this is a mythos story.
It's a
I'm sorry.
goes
I'm
back
sorry. You
to
cut out for a second. I'm sorry. You cut out for a second there.
yeah, no problem. Yeah, the mythos is there, but it's a mythos backed by the carvings and the drawings and the sculptures of the ancient Persians, Mesopotamians, and Egyptians.
Okay.
So it all starts there. And these were real, apparently, interventions, as we're having real interventions today. And so the Orphic approach is to get to the gods behind the gods, or the God behind the gods, as a school of esotericism. So it's not a monotheistic approach to esoteric knowledge.
Okay, it's more of a pantheon.
It's a pantheist type of situation. Yeah.
Okay.
You know
So-
that the demiurge concept is very interesting because it has been also used in fiction.
Yes, and I don't know whether some of the fiction is taking it the right way or purposefully doing a misdirection. Under Plato, and again, I think this is a key component of some of these secret societies, that they hold that there is a creator of the physical world, an artisan. So it's not a supernatural being. It's not an all-knowing or all-powerful God. It's an artisan of the physical world.
So is this artisan of the physical world? This is not the top boss or top god, if you will. This is a mediator. This is the arbiter. Is that what you're saying?
There is no top god. This is it.
There
This
is no top god.
However,
But,
it's
There is no
not.
top god.
There is no all-powerful, all-knowing entity that created everything. There's only an entity that created the physical world, and that species is still alive.
But if it's not supernatural, how could it create? How could he create something out of nothing?
See, that's the philosophical question that I've spent a lifetime trying to answer, and in fact, I believe I have answered it. And my answer is that there is an expression which is done first time in 1999. So all of philosophy changed, I believe, that year when they did the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment. And I've said this a number of times, and I'm hoping people will look it up. Delayed choice quantum eraser experiment. I'm putting it in the chat here.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely look that up now. The delayed choice quantum
eraser experiment.
Can you very quickly, in less than a minute or two, just tell us what exactly is this experiment and
Okay.
what the findings were?
Summarize it easily. It's not that complicated. You take a photon of light and you split it with a mirror. And then through another series of mirrors, you have half of that photon land. And then let's say that's time one. And then it goes through some mirrors, delaying it. Then it goes through a double slit experiment with a randomizer. And then it lands later on at time two.
So time travel.
Yes. Every time it lands in a 2-bar pattern in time two, it's a 2-bar pattern in time one. Every time it's a wave interference pattern in time two, it's a wave interference in time one. There is no way that the time one landing can, quote unquote, know what the choice was in a randomized double slit experiment to know whether to make a double bar or a wave interference pattern at time. It hasn't been even decided yet. So that's the delayed choice. So this means that there is a way to look into the future, which is structurally part of this universe. And that location, this whole experiment is like a scope, like a telescope or a microscope. And that location is right beside you. It's right beside me. It's right here, but we cannot see it. The demiurge is that creature that can just look into the future, and it does not exist. It's not real yet. And thereby function however it likes.
I see.
Because there's no
Okay,
reality to what it's
let's
seeing.
let's talk about light for a second. What Mgtow values? What is your understanding of what light is? Does light have weight? Does light have
No.
a mass to it?
No, light has
Yes,
no
it
weight or
does.
mass.
Does it not?
No, photons
You
are
just said a
massless.
photon. You just said a photon of light. What is a photon? A photon is a piece of matter.
No, it's
right?
not. It's a piece
It's
of
not.
energy. It's a piece of energy. And ultimately, the energy itself is just a wave.
Okay, I guess I agree with that.
So until it's been collapsed into a particle, it remains a wave.
But a particle is mass.
A particle has mass. That's a particle. Yeah. That
So,
exists.
so a photon, if it's a wave, then it's also a particle. If it's a particle, it has mass, right? No,
well,
no.
I think he said it has to collapse into a particle.
Yeah, it has to collapse into a particle to become a particle.
Okay. Okay.
So what I'm thinking is that of the laws of physical nature, which do not exist within the universe, but are making up the universe, so they're of the universe, but not in the universe. One of them is electromagnetism, and light is a form of that. So we're at the very edge of the universe when we're talking about light and light reflecting off of things. We're at the very edge of it.
So,
Just to our
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I do consider myself I'm educated, but when it comes to this, I don't know anything about physics, and oh boy.
what do you think about the unifying forces of the universe? The five forces being unified into one.
I think they're on a wild goose chase. They're on a wild goose chase because, first of all, and I don't know, Mgtow Cowboy, if you're ready for what I'm about to go into.
No, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. No, I like I said, I take back what I said. I open it up to anything. See, the problem is, and this is a good problem. When I listen to people like you, you expand my mind, which is great, but also, it puts me into territories where I feel like I'm not on very strong footing because I frankly, like for example, you're trying to reconcile, philosophy with physics, and I just don't know a lot about physics.
Well, I just put in the chat again for you and other people. One of my studies is metaphysics, and that's a main component of philosophy. And metaphysics now is what comes before physics, what allows physics to be. And physics is something physical, something measurable. And so I guess energy as well is measurable. So this is a part of physics. And so metaphysics is what has to be true in order to allow physical things to be physical, or to allow measurable things to be measurable. So I have to sort of understand physics. Now, I don't understand all of it, and certainly not a lot. I think the main thrust of it, and I think most people do. So, but we have had two startling experiments over the last 100 years or so, the double slit experiment and the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment. And these two experiments, they befuddle physicists themselves. They have no explanation. And philosophers have been, I don't think, very forthright on metaphysics for the last 100 years. I think we were waiting for physicists to answer the question, but they cannot, because they're locked into a physical, naive materialism, should I say, and cannot answer the question about consciousness, which is, I think, still in the purview of philosophers. But anyway, we had a question about a unified force theory. And that means that the forces within the atom, the strong nuclear force and the weak nuclear force, magnetism, the electromagnetic force, and the forces we see in the world, the macro level forces of gravity, something dropping off the table, plus the unified theory wants to talk about the lights that we see in the sky. So they want to reconcile what we see in quantum mechanics with what we see in the theory of relativity as it applies to the lights in the sky. So they're looking for dark matter or dark energy. However, I'm going to throw a big wrench in this and say that the standard model of physics as regards to the lights in the sky is completely and totally misguided. We should rely on modern science, which is experimental science, which is Francis Bacon out of the 1500s, late 1500s. He gave us this method. This method gives us great knowledge, and what it tells us is that the world is flat and stationary, and this is part of the esoteric knowledge. And
okay, so I'm sorry to interject. So you're a flat earther. The Earth is not round.
The Earth currently, according to modern science, the Earth is flat and stationary.
So you're a flat earther.
I'm saying, according to modern science, I'm a modern sciencer.
Okay.
So if modern science can come up with something to tell me otherwise, I'm going with it. But currently, and we have some major people telling us that the Earth is stationary, Airy's failure and the Michael Morley experiment. And we have a regular experiment that anyone can do if they're in Michigan, is to take a 900 video camera and to look at Chicago from across the lake. You do the calculation on the sphere dimension of the Earth that they say, and you do a calculation of the curvature of the Earth, which involves a Pythagorean triangle from the center of the Earth, and you get 7.9 inches per mile squared. You should not be able to see anything of Chicago's skyline, and yet you see most of it.
Well, I do know. So, of course, I basically live in the Chicagoland area, and I have a friend of mine. We would travel to Michigan City, Indiana. Not Michigan. The state is Indiana, but there's a town in Indiana called Michigan City. It's also on the lake, and it's I don't know if I had to take a guess, an educated guess, 30 some miles away from Chicago. And I know for a fact, because I've seen it with my own eyes. You can clearly see most of the skyline, especially the taller buildings. Yeah, right. I understand that concept, that because of the curvature of the Earth, it's supposed to fall away, right? It goes down, if you will.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know. See. Okay. So you're okay. I don't even know what to say to that. And why?
I know.
Why?
But
again, why?
You know what?
If the Earth is not round, why are they telling us it's round? Why was Galileo? Galileo claimed, what is it? Didn't Galileo claim that the Earth went around the sun, not the sun around the Earth, and then the church is trying to kill him? I mean, do you think that this knowledge is purposely occulted?
Well, Galileo and Bruno were the sun was in the center of the solar system, not the Earth. So that was the geocentric versus heliocentric controversy.
There you go.
The curvature of the Earth was postulated by Copernicus. He looked at the lights in the sky and he said they're spherical, therefore Earth must be spherical. So what people are trying to do, and I think this is the critical point, this is, I think, the deepest of esoteric knowledge. So you're getting it if you want it, Mgtow Cowboy, you're getting it. That the Copernican revolution was to put mathematics onto the lights in the sky, and he did that. So he made the heliocentric system. He made the orbits of all the planets even, and he put Earth where he wanted it to belong amongst the other planets. What that did, I believe, is it created information available to a sentient creature from which humans could then collapse a wave function of that universe that they now had information about. That is the great power that humans have. This was our job for, 5,000-6,000 years, was to collapse this wave function. Now, you say that's a very interesting and crazy thought. Based upon the double slit experiment, sure. However, is there any evidence to show that something happened then? Well, I didn't know this when I came up with that idea I just told you. But what happened after Copernicus died was his assistant took the manuscript to be published. and he took it to Nuremberg, and this was roughly in 1550. And it was a short time later, in the city of Nuremberg in 1561, that there was an event in the skies where there was a battle among spaceships. And there's a picture of the spaceships and a description from about 30,000 people in that town of these spaceships fighting. And my thought was, why did they want to go to Nuremberg in 1561? Well, then I found out that the Copernicus document stating the Copernican theory was published in Nuremberg.
Okay, so according to what I just heard you say, if my understanding is correct, you're saying that these watchers, so to speak, they got wind of what a possible human breakthrough, as some human discovered something that they shouldn't have discovered, and so there was a military intervention by these watchers.
Close, but I think that they wanted humans to collapse that wave function. That it was the purpose of humans on this in this flat world that we live in to do this. And that what they wanted to do was they wanted to capture the guy who collapsed the wave function and protect him.
Oh, so you think these aliens, what would you call them? Extraterrestrials, aliens, watchers?
No, just watchers. Let's call them watchers. They're farm managers. Farm managers. They were fighting over who was going to get them, or whether they should get them, or whether they should just leave them there. And the battle ended with a black triangle coming in and all the other spacecraft leaving. And that black triangle, there's a picture of it. There's a picture in the broadsheet. You can download it. Nuremberg 1561. That black triangle is also probably very similar to the black triangle seen in Phoenix, the black triangle seen in Belgium, the black triangle seen in the Hudson River Valley, and the black triangle seen by Ezra, I believe. And so we have a history of this black triangle coming in.
Who's Ezra? Ezra Pound?
No, Ezra in the Bible.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we're going 300 BCE to get to Ezra. So we have
I don't know if this statistic still holds true, but I thought I remember hearing the American state that supposedly reports the most UFO sightings is Wisconsin. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
But they're everywhere. The sightings are everywhere. And
well, I actually believe in UFOs, but see, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit more skeptical than you. I think, or I have thought, I have pondered, I have opined. Aren't these probably just military, like our military? You know, when I say our military, I mean the United States, of course. You know, they're skunk works. They've created these secret machines, maybe, and then they try to keep them secret. But then, every once in a while, a person sees them. Isn't that maybe a possibility?
Well, yeah, I had to consider that, but then we go to the Foo Fighters in World War II, reported by the Japanese, the Germans, and the American pilots. And then we go back to all the sightings in the 1800s when there were only dirigibles, the Zeppelins. And then we go back, as I say, to the Nuremberg event of 1561, the Basel event of 1566, and then we keep on going back all the way through to Ezra with a black triangle type thing.
Sure.
Then we go back to the carvings of the Mesopotamians, the Egyptians, the Persians.
I was just about to bring them up. I thought I remember looking at some like stone tablets that you can clearly see like helicopters or other spacecraft.
And they say these people come from the sky. So we're not supposed to believe them when we see similar stuff. Now, one of the things is you have not seen something in the sky that has astounded you. I hadn't for the longest time, and yet I was ready to believe the video, some of it with eyewitness testimony, multiple eyewitness in a video, multiple eyewitness in a radar, multiple eyewitness. All of these are pretty credible. But then I saw something myself, and I have a hard time explaining what I saw. It was a multiple person sighting just a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now. And so things are picking up speed. That's why I'm out here. And We have, I think, a limited amount of time before I think the worst thing happens, in that it's either a Project Bluebeam, in which case it's false, or it's a real thing, in which case humans just give over. They give over to this massively superior technology, and we say,
when you say Project Bluebeam, I don't know what that is. Is that the false invasion of
"Yeah,
the planet
yes, that's a false invasion." So you make it
using
seem,
holograms,
oh,
some shit like that?
yeah, stuff like that. It's a possibility. So you got to take a look at it. So Shinobi One says he's seen some rapidly moving lights. So that's what they saw. They're seeing stuff like this, and they're talking about it, and have been for 6,000 years. So
So what do, since you think humans were created by a demiurge, what are the purpose of animals around us? Just to feed us?
oh yeah, my advice on getting a grasp of where we live and why we live in this place would be to look at Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues series, which is great. I mean, it's great. So the reason would be that if we were going to understand the lights in the sky and then believe them and then collapse a wave function, making them real, thus providing massive resources to the demiurge and watchers, then uh, we have to live in a place where we believe that we are not where we are. So I
So
think that we are in a type 3 civilization, meaning
so
that the demiurge has a massively advanced technology, and it's created a living space for us to feel like it's natural, because we have to believe it's natural to make this leap into collapsing this wave function once we can get an understanding of the lights in the sky.
So
If we
all
knew
the
it was artificial, we wouldn't do it.
all the nature of the animals is to for us to collapse the wavelength.
Yes, we are in like a created environment that is created to allow us to believe we are here really, and to see what we see and believe it, and then collapse that waveform, because no one else has collapsed it. We're waiting for us to collapse it.
So
And so,
of course, the animals cannot collapse anything because
no,
they're just
they,
secondary characters.
yeah, that's right. They're non-player characters, NPCs. There's a lot of people. You only need one, right? You only need one person to collapse a wave function in any way, and it's that way for all other sentient creatures, as long as there's information available. So you
But
don't need many.
but if you
okay,
imagine
okay. Let me
something
let, let
is
me if I may. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please excuse my ignorance. If you can describe in other words, or give an example of my simple squirrel-like brain, sometimes, what is a what is a wave function?
Okay. Um, I think the best way to approach this is to talk about an electron. So when
Okay.
they were discussing the atom, you've got the neutron and proton in the center, in the nucleus, and then you got the electron going around it. But
Yes.
ultimately, the electron is not a physical particle.
Well, but it is, right? It's just that it's moving so fast that
No,
it's sort
no,
of not physical,
no, no, no,
right?
no, it's not like that.
Okay.
What the best way to describe it is that it's a wave of probability, and
Okay.
that it appears when you collapse it. And then after you stop looking at it, it then maybe goes somewhere else and moves to a different orbit, but it moves in a quanta. And this quanta is a very mysterious space, because the electron jumps, say, from one orbit to another orbit, but it does not go the distance in between. So it's like, for that period of time, it's not measurable in this universe. So it leaves the universe and then comes back in, or something.
is a quanta is a synonym for is the quanta the ether, if you will?
No, the quanta is a space through which an electron does not pass in order to get from position A to position B.
Okay.
And because it's just a wave probability, that's the function. It's a mathematical function. So we're dealing with a probability mathematical function because it's a wave, and waves can be collapsed into particles. That's the gist of it. Any wave. It appears in a wave form if you don't get information from from whatever it is you shoot through that double slit. If you don't take information, it's a wave. If you take information, it's a particle. But in all cases, when you're shooting an electron through it, it's just a probability function, a mathematical function. It doesn't exist. It has no physical being in the world. It's a potential for being.
So an electron, what you're saying is an electron doesn't really exist
until it's collapsed.
Until it's collapsed. Okay, and how do we do that? How do we collapse
it? You take a measurement of it, and
you
also
you observe it.
You observe it, and by observing it, you change its momentum. So that's the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So by observing it, you have to take a measurement, and by measuring it, you change how fast it's going. So you can never know its speed and its position to 100%. So the world is ultimately unknowable. So that's the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. However, in the quantum world, the electron is not, it has no being in the world until you collapse it, and then it has a temporary being, and then it's gone again. Maybe there, maybe not.
Okay, this is a random question. How would you describe what is dark matter?
It's a fantasy.
It's not real?
No. They've been looking for it for what, 30 years, 40 years. It's a necessary like force or gravity pull or whatever to make sure that the galaxies we see spinning around at the speed we say they're spinning around, these lights in the sky, don't fly apart. They need this amount of attraction, which they say is dark matter or dark energy.
When you say these lights in the sky, you're referring to the celestial bodies?
No, they're lights in the sky.
You mean the stars, the planets?
No. Let's just call them lights in the sky. I'll agree with that. I'm a modern scientist now, Mgtow Cowboy. I'm not going to go with any of this, crazy theory out there.
Okay,
what
is the moon? I'm told, if I remember correctly, the moon is this body. It's approximately 238,000 miles away from us.
And oddly enough, at that distance, you can see a 40-mile in diameter crater. Think about that for a minute. 250,000 miles, and you can see a 40-mile diameter crater with your naked eye. That making any sense to you?
I don't know, man. I mean, I thought the moon was made out of cheese.
Now we're talking. That's it. Now, even before I got red pilled on almost any subject, I found a book, and I discovered that everything about the moon is wrong. It cannot be explained. Almost everything about the moon.
My understanding is that the moon goes against what we claim we know about physics, and that if you measure it, it's much. It behaves as if it's much heavier, but actually we know supposedly through science that it's much lighter.
Yes.
Also.
Oh yeah.
Also.
That's it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's it. Everything about it is wrong. If we believe the physics of the moon, all other physics disappears. That's it.
What is the moon?
The moon is a watching station. It's a point of reference for the watchers to come in and look at what's happening here.
It's a watching. It's the Death Star.
No. They're friendly. They're farmers. They're just watching it. You know, you need a place to watch
They're
from.
farmers. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're farm managers. We got a farm manager. The sun also is. It may also be a portal.
Yeah. What the hell is the sun? Oh my God. I mean, the sun. You know, isn't it true that if you and me, anyone, if you stare at the sun for like 60 seconds, you're going to do permanent eye damage or something?
Yeah, no, it's giving out a lot of energy. Don't do that. Do not do
No.
that.
Right. I don't do that. I don't do that.
No, you're a smart guy. You're a smart guy.
Hearing there are some crazy people that believe that and then they go blind.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard that. I don't want to talk about that. Do not do that at home. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We had a theory about how the sun created its energy, which, you know, the first time I heard it, I thought it was a little strange, and now I know that it was just a lie. This guy, you know, pretty famous astronomer Eddington, based upon some conjecture by Einstein, said that the sun creates its energy by thermonuclear reaction. And because there's a thermonuclear reaction, that's why it's spitting out so much radiation in all forms. However, you learn something about thermonuclear reactions in a nuclear reactor, and that it cascades unless you put stuff in to stop it. Well, why doesn't the sun cascade and blow itself up? It just makes no sense. So people have dispensed with Eddington's conjecture now, and we're looking at an electric universe theory where it combines and maybe throws out electricity. And we look everywhere up in the sky, and we see magnetic fields, which are created by changing electric fields. So what we see, I think, is a dome. We are looking up at a dome, and we see magnetic fields and electric fields and all manner of radiation frequencies. And so if you take I've seen pictures of the sky where you allow all frequencies to appear, and it's just like it's white. I mean, there's light everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So, so what we're looking at is, I think, a very massive enclosure. And I want to encourage people to think big. And this is, I think
the biggest biodome ever.
Yeah, and I want to, talk about a cargo cult. And this is the fear I have of humans. As I say, if we have a real disclosure of the demiurge or whatever it is, that we're just going to get down on our knees and start slobbering and say, I believe you, I believe you. And this happened.
When you say cargo cult, are you referring to those people during in like Macronesia, Polynesia?
Yeah,
that's
it exactly.
You saw the Allied planes and they thought they were God.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Because they had no technological ability to understand what was happening. And then when the war was over, they built, more airplanes thinking that it would attract them because they had no idea what they had just experienced.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Since the Earth is flat, how do the GPS system work?
You're assuming that it does work.
Because when I use it, it seems to work. Is it a projection of our minds or?
No. You're using it in a place where triangulation is very possible, right? If you go out into the middle of the ocean, it stops working, and everyone admits it.
Yeah, you have to use radar.
Yeah, then you got to use something else. Yeah. So yeah, they call it GPS, but it's looking like it's just a triangulation within very populated areas with lots of towers and stuff. Yeah.
So the space station is just fantasy.
Fiction?
No, there's something up there. Who's the world's largest purchaser of helium? Well, NASA is. So
is that right?
Yeah, apparently they're sending up a lot of balloons, and they ain't talking about it. They send up more balloons than spaceships. I wonder why.
Really? No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, they're a great producer of what they call composite images. if you check on their website, they never say picture, they never say photo, they say composite images.
So drawings.
Yeah, you look up the word for composite images and you look up the word for Photoshop, the meaning of Photoshop.
Composite images.
Composite,
So basically
yeah.
made up images.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just drawings. It's just a collage.
Like
yeah,
computer
that's
generated.
NASA. Yeah, great at doing that. That's
Well,
NASA.
you know what NASA stands for, right? Mgtow values.
Yeah, never a straight answer.
Never a straight answer. There you go.
Never straight answer. Yeah, it's a good
And
one.
they're part of the esoteric, the secret society. They're running.
Yes, I absolutely believe that. What's his name? Werner von Braun and all. Yeah. Okay. Do you think that these celestial bodies, or you call them lights in the sky, are they inside the firmament, so to speak, or are they outside of the dome?
No, they're on the dome. They're on the dome wall. Then they were put there specifically in that configuration. They could have been
on the dome wall, so they're attached to the dome.
Yeah, it's like a computer screen.
So what happens if we send a rocket up there? Will it?
Okay, again, this is. I want to get to the cargo cult thing because you want to think big. You want to think maybe 200 years ago there was no television screen at all, and nobody would even have any ability to approach it. But say a person from 200 years ago were put in a room, and on the wall of the room is a big TV screen with a picture of a tree in a video blowing in the wind. They would absolutely believe that there was a tree blowing in the wind outside of a window, and yet it's not.
Yeah, it's a projection.
So it's just a projection. But we 200 years ago would be very confused. And so imagine what a computer screen will look like in 50,000 years.
Right.
Okay. So
no. In 50,000 years, it'll be like, we'll all become cyborgians. We will merge with.
Yeah, I know. That's it. So imagine building a dome. We can build a geodesic dome now, but in 50,000 years, what in the hell can we build? It's the same difference between an outrigger canoe in World War II to the aircraft carrier that the guy rode up to. That's the difference.
Right. Okay.
I thought it was just an illusion made by supernatural forces. That's all I thought.
Yeah, I'm not going for supernatural. I don't do magic. I like the Harry Potter series, but I don't do magic, really, I don't need to.
Essentially, it's like humanity is being farmed. So while you were away, Mgtow values, I was talking about how I in the past would listen to Stefan Molyneux, and Stefan Molyneux would say, in so many ways, you can think of planet Earth as like a farm, and all the way down from your municipal politicians to your national leaders, international politics, the people that rule us, the way he saw it is like we're being farmed by them, and they harvest energy from us, and they throw us a couple bones and they allow us to use a little bit of fuel, but the idea is that sometimes they will cull the herd, and sometimes they will give us the nourishment that we need, but as long as this sort of slave system continues, and it's about energy and having energy flow to them and all this, and I liked his analogy. He likened it to a farm as well.
Yeah, and I can see that. That's he's talking politically, I think.
Yes,
and he's talking about humans controlling other humans. I talk about the incel tax slaves a lot. For the current system, just abused men, and all of us in some way have to serve, and people are taking the fruits of our labor for their benefit. But what I would say is that if we do exist in a type 3 civilization, and our genetic seed was put here for some reason, maybe what I said, maybe not, is that these people running it, these non-human sentient creatures, don't give a shit about what humans do to other humans. And if they're getting what they want, they don't care. Like I've got some chickens out here, and there's a pecking order, and the chickens really.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and overall, I don't want the chicken flock to kill each other. But if one of them gets in a fight and gores the other one, I'm not going to interfere in that. Maybe if I'm
Right,
standing
right.
out there, I'll kick one.
You have much more pressing matters to attend
Yeah,
to. Something,
yeah, yeah. I like to see
So,
them nice and running around, but if they get angry with each other, I come back and
so
talk to
be it.
you. That's it.
So be it. Right. Okay. So you think that these watchers, so to speak, they allow us to, they play their games and we play ours.
As long as we're delivering what we have to deliver to them, or are on the right path for that, I think so. However, if we get on the wrong path, if we start developing weapons that endanger them, then they're going to take action. Yeah.
So if we create an artificial intelligence, do you think they would start a big war to try to, they would start, there'd be another deluge, so to speak?
Yeah, well, what we'd see is electromagnetic pulse from the sun and shut everything off. And how long does that take? 12 hours, done.
Well, I'm sorry, an EMP?
Yeah, from the sun.
And not from a nuclear weapon?
No, just from the sun. Just push a button, send one out. Somebody has control over the sun in some way. They turn it up, they turn it down. It's on a cycle now. It wasn't before. Yeah. So
okay. Now
and,
before
I follow space weather. You should follow space weather.
Space weather. I was just about to dabble in or touch on that. So what I have thought is outside of the idea of, let's say, an actual sentient being controlling the sun, I thought that maybe one possibility could be that not necessarily that anyone controls the sun, but that maybe the cycle, the sun itself has cycles, and there among other cycles, and it's these secret groups, these secret societies that have over time recorded them. And so, let's say, for example, there's going to be a massive solar flare event, or like what you said, a massive EMP, and the people in the know, these secret societies, they know it occurs every whatever 9,000 years or 36,000 years, and so again, since they have this differential in knowledge, they can prepare for it, but they don't let us they don't let us in on it. And then when it happens, there's huge disaster, and a third of the population dies, and but they're in underground bunkers or something like that. But
okay, no, that's very good. And I just in the chat here, I just made a remark to Shinobi Wan. He put my main weatherman, not my only one, but my main one is Bandit Suspicious Observers, and he's great. And I've learned a lot about space weather from him. And there are these cycles. It's an 11-year cycle where it goes up and it comes back down. And it does this over 11 years. But there's also a grand solar minimum and a grand solar maximum. And these happen in longer cycles. And we are moving into a grand solar minimum, which means
so essentially it's going to get colder.
It's going to get colder. However, we currently are in this rise up into a solar maximum as we go into a grand solar minimum. So it's going to be pretty deep in about another 9 years. 9 years.
So you're saying that for the next 9 years, the Earth is going to be essentially warmer. We're going to be experiencing a warmer climate, and then after 9 years, you think we're going to start experiencing a cooling?
No, it's going to be pretty steady for another 4 or 5 as we go up to the solar maximum, but then we're going to head down into a solar minimum while we go down into a grand solar minimum. That apparently is the cycles that we're on. And so, however, there's something else I think more important than the temperature, is that every solar minimum is a cosmic ray maximum. And the cosmic rays come in and they bombard our brains, causing us to think funny, like drive us crazy.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. And so, the connection between space weather and health effects is being more closely documented, but it's clear. But if you go back in history, there's ways to measure the grand solar minimums, and there was this long one. So these cycles are not forever. They're just, some of them are recent. But we were in the Mondor minimum and then the Sporer minimum. And in the end of the Mondor minimum, we had a great insanity and we had great knowledge appear at the same time. It's like somebody's pumping humans. And when I was at university in doing my second degree, and my minor was history, and I did an extended year writing papers on the great flagellation movement of 1250 and 1350. And what happened is this guy, Joachim of Fiore, was a millenarian, and he said the end of the world is nigh. And then these people later on started to see bad things, and then they started whipping themselves, and all of Europe went insane.
Yes, really. Right. Self-flagellation is bizarre.
Yeah. And
when I think of that, I actually associate that with like hardcore Christians or something.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. Joachim of Fiore was a papal recognized order, like the Dominicans or one of these groups. And they finally got rid of it because it got a little extreme, but they were going all around Europe, beating themselves. And in the 1351, the Black Death happened at the same time. So they really had a reason to think that the world was ending. But out of this came the greatness of great thoughts. William of Ockham came out of this. Nicholas of Cusa, and of course, as I mentioned, Nicholas Copernicus and Francis Bacon. These ideas were circulating around and got coalesced at this time, at the very end of these very, very confusing times, chaotic times. And we're going into that chaotic time now. It's like someone's pumping us to drive half of us crazy and make half of us really fucking smart. I don't know. So join the club.
Do you have any idea why? Do you have any thoughts to why some of us become filled with knowledge and the other half or whatever percentage becomes incensed to fury or go crazy?
No, I haven't thought about that. It's an interesting question. We're getting some interference here.
That sounds weird.
That's weird.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question.
That was weird. Okay, shoot.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If we were created by a demiurge, why do humans have different skin colors? That's something that intrigues me.
It's just a genetic set. Some, they were trying a whole bunch of different ones that didn't work out. They tried Java Man and all these other ones. They didn't work out. Cro-Magnon, they didn't work out. They tried a whole bunch of different variations.
Isn't Java Man just an example of what is called what's it called, island dwarfism?
Oh yeah, no, they found one out at some other island around there that was really small. But yeah, really they tried a whole bunch of different ones, and some of them worked and some of them didn't. And
okay, yeah, no, it's very fascinating. It sounds like you're basically in lockstep with Zecharia Sitchin. The idea that No. Why do you think these creatures came here? Now, according to Zecharia Sitchin, they came here because they wanted to extract, I think, chiefly gold and silver for whatever reasons. Do you think I'm sorry?
Yeah, he's not thinking big. Nobody came here for a handful of monoatomic gold. First of all, it's a Type 3 civilization. So nobody came here. They are from here. This is their space that they made for us, and they planted us here. They grew us, just like they grew the Watchers. All the Watchers used to be us, and they just got out of their place and joined a bigger club. But we're all in the same universe, and we don't see the universe. All we see are the lights on the dome, and that's it. Other people know sort of what the universe looks like.
I conjure up this image that I'm listening to you. It's almost like we're being raised it's like we're in a petri dish or something.
Yeah, we're in a petri dish, a very big and beautiful petri dish. I mean, my God, this is the greatest of all petri dishes. I think we're the greatest of all creation so far. The other Watchers, they may have benefits and powers and stuff, but humans are wickedly powerful. We have a great way of being. We're smart. We're good looking. We're strong. You know, we got it. We got a lot, and we got this
But the
beautiful place to
Watchers
live.
aren't the Watchers? Wouldn't they be superior to us because
No,
they obviously have superior technology to us?
yeah, they just got superior technology. It doesn't. Yeah, we got a noise coming in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
right. It's what's his name? It's Sith. So I just muted him.
Sorry, Sith, mute up. Anyway, yeah, no, don't think we're not as powerful as they are. They just have advanced technology. That's it. Once we get it, we get it. You know, and that's it. We'll
But
be their equals.
doesn't them having more advanced technology than us, wouldn't you presuppose then that they're probably smarter than us?
No, you got some kid, he's stupid, and then it becomes an adult, he's smarter than me. Okay, that's it.
Huh? I don't know.
It's just
Okay,
time.
here,
It's just time. Give
let me
it
give you an
time.
example. If I may give you an example, I remember learning, and again, if I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected. But my understanding is, for example, like when the British landed on Australia, they noted that the Aborigines had not even discovered the what's it called, the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
While the rest of the world, in all parts, Africa, Asia, and Europe, and even in the New World, they had the bow and arrow.
Yep.
And according to I can't remember his name, but he wrote the book The Bell Curve. He has this idea that supposedly that there is such a thing as IQ, and that it's measurable and it's heritable, and certain groups have higher IQs. If I remember correctly, he said the Ashkenazi Jews have like an IQ of 107 on average. Northeast Asians, like Japanese, Koreans, have an average IQ of 106. Central Europeans, an average IQ of 105. Mesoamericans, 95. The African American was at 85. And he says the Aborigines average IQ is 75. And so he says, like, essentially they weren't smart enough yet. They weren't smart enough to develop the bow and arrow. And so, like, basically, like, wouldn't these people be these Watchers? Wouldn't they be superior to us? Because essentially we could never even reach their level of technology, and even if they gave it to us, we'd barely know how to use it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to say that we appear to have been on the Earth for maybe 20,000 years as humans, and so the Watchers, I'm thinking that the Demiurge is a million years here in this universe, so they got a long time on us. However, I remember reading about the opposable thumb and how humans have it, but chimpanzees do not. And what happens with the opposable thumb is that suddenly you can grab something. But in grabbing something, you then need to develop the brain work to
think about
make
what you're
use
going to
of
do
that, to think about what you're going to do with that thing you're grabbing.
Right.
And so what's happening with humans, perhaps, is that because we have this capability, we have to develop the brain work to do it. And this is what I sort of wanted to get to and partially talked about, is that we are being pushed to the next level. So the trouble with Australia is that it's easy living, that there's a big space, not many people. Why did they have to invent a bow and arrow? They had enough food, they had enough water, they had no predators that were really problematic. They didn't have to. But you talk about, difficult places to live in. Yeah. Then you got to develop technology.
I think that's in line with what the book The Bell Curve talks about. It essentially says that what is it, like some large percentage, like 90% of all the world's inventions come from the northern hemisphere, and it talks about how in the northern hemisphere, it basically has to do with like stressors caused by the environment. Essentially, it's harder to live in the north, and so because people who came to populate these areas, more stressors were put upon them, so they had to think their way through, or they had to they evolved to be smarter, or something like that. You know what
Yep,
I mean?
that's it. So you take somebody from some very easy place to live where no one's ever challenged intellectually or materially. They're not really challenged. You put them in New York City at birth, and they'll grow up to be a concert pianist or whatever. So I don't hold to this genetic stuff. As long as the mother gets enough nutrients at birth, that's it. Then the kid comes out and is raised, let's say, by normal New Yorkers from anywhere in the world. They'll just become normal New Yorkers. Same IQ.
So you don't think that IQ is genetically related?
No, I think that genetically, if you live in a place that doesn't challenge you, with parents who don't challenge you, in a world that's easy to live in, yeah, your IQ is not going to be very high because you're not working your brain. There's no stressors.
Okay.
And once you go through formative years, then it's going to be harder to develop to some point. Not impossible.
Oh yeah. No, it's going to be. I think it's impossible. I think there's sort of like a developmental window.
But
Joe Satriani only picked up the guitar when he was 18 years old, first time.
But you have trisomics, Mongols. The retarded people. They'll never have an IQ above 90 or
Who's
even
that?
above 60.
Ooh.
Retarded children.
Oh yeah, that's a genetic mutation or defect or something. Yeah, there's issues there. Yeah.
Down syndrome babies.
Down syndrome. Yeah. There's a physical impediment, and consciousness, as I would say from the beginning, there's an inability of consciousness to correctly latch on to make a connection.
And autistic people too. They are retarded to some extent.
Yeah.
Autistic, Wolf Hirschhorn syndrome. All these. Yeah, right. All these.
This I think is important. This I think is part of the secret society causing all this autism. Autism is an inability to connect with your environment, and that's what we're seeing massively in this recent insanity. But it's also been done with this autistic push, and I think.
What do you think? I'm sorry, Mgtow values. In other words, what do you think is causing all this autism? I remember learning that autism used to be exceedingly rare. It was 1 in 80,000 100 years ago. 50 years ago, it was 1 in 50,000. Now it's like 1 in every 80 children or something is born with autism.
Yeah, the last number I heard was 1 in 64, but that was about 4 years ago. I'm not sure what causes it. However, if you do mapping,
it's the vaccines. The vaccines.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think
if you do a mapping of the increase in the number and frequency of vaccines and the number of autism, then it's a match. It's a perfect match.
Do you know that
we're being poisoned? Or is it? You think we're being poisoned?
Yeah, and this I think is just chickens fighting each other. This is just human on human stupidity.
You know that germ theory does not exist, and that it is a terrain theory that is real.
Well, the terrain theory I'm not sure about, but there is a currently underway a paradigm shift in virology, which is partially what's causing this latest crisis. That somebody wants to make a last stand. So there does appear to be apparently mRNA in the body that can get into the mitochondria, and so if that mRNA in the mitochondria is a fucked up little piece of mRNA, there might be some problem. But other than that, I don't know.
Isn't the mitochondria, isn't that like the powerhouse of the cell?
Yeah, so it takes instructions, which is a genetic instruction, which is a little piece of mRNA, messenger RNA. So it's any little piece of DNA or RNA that gets into the cell and finds its way to the mitochondria might fuck up or something. Yeah,
I see. Yeah, the way I see vaccines at this point, as controversial as this may sound, is I think that like the whatever you want to call them, the intelligentsia, the educated class of the world are purposely poisoning the hoi polloi, or the whatever you want to call them, the masses. I don't like to use that word. The people, in some form of what you could call like a last stand. You say like I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think they're being
I don't
poisoned.
think it's even that. I think it's um, the great Richard Dolan said that he thought it was an attack upon enlightenment itself. That suddenly we have a new priesthood, and the
Who's
priesthood
doing
says,
this? Who's
uh,
attacking this enlightenment?
um, I think that that's a larger question.
Is it one person? Is it a group of people?
It's some people in these secret societies who think they have access to some of this deeper knowledge, whatever that may be, going out in this direction. There are some do gooders involved in this. There are just a lot of people who think in a meritocracy that other people in the meritocracy are intelligent, and so will do what they say.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people just following because they don't have enough knowledge to say stop.
Okay. Another idea I floated is I think whatever you want to call them, the ultra rich, the intelligentsia, the educated classes. I think that they think kind of like what's it called, Malthus. They're very Malthusian. They don't like the idea. Secret. They won't admit this, but they don't like the idea of helping the poor. They think the world is overpopulated. They think that the mass of people of the earth, the population is growing too fast. We're going to use up all the resources. It's going to be like Easter Island or something.
Yeah, I know there's some people like that. Malthusians, that's the right term. And the doom and gloom, the Georgia Guidestones people, what was it, Prince Philip, reborn as a virus and kill off half of humanity. Yeah, there's some people like that, but other people, I think, in the intelligentsia think that the carrying capacity of Earth is maybe 40 billion people, and we haven't even scratched the surface. And we'd have much more power as a planet if we had more people. So there, for more people, just
Yes,
better management.
but why would they want to share all the resources with all those people?
Well, you need to have workers to get the resources. If you don't have enough people, then, well, we're going to have the Japan syndrome. Its population decreased by
Right, right,
644,000 people last year. It's going to get
right. No, no,
smaller
no.
and
I
smaller.
totally follow. I totally follow what you just said. If the population was bigger, we would have more power. We literally have more people doing more things, creating more energy. Yeah, no, I get
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So, but some people are Malthusian, and they're not going for that. And then I think there's other issues here. I think there's other issues. I think that because we have the ability of viral engineering, and I do think that creating a viral chimera could be a danger in that piece of genetic material might get into either ours or, let's say, the demiurge's genetic system
Oh,
through
that's
its
so scary. That is so scary. Oh
uh,
man, can you imagine like if whatever some rogue element of our government or even maybe a powerful corporation or a mad scientist were to make something and spread purposely spread it, and then all of a sudden whatever some percentage of the population just becomes like a I don't know, like a
yeah, bad
zombie.
news. Yeah, I looked up something. I didn't really mean to do it, but I think it was chlorine-based life. So they created a self-replicating piece of genetic material with chlorine as the basis, not carbon, chlorine. So
Right,
it's
right.
by its very nature.
Have you heard of Morgellons disease? Morgellons?
Yeah, it's a very fucking weird thing. With the plastics growing out of your arms and shit. Uh,
Is it plastic or is it plant material or it's like
I
cellulose
don't
or
know.
something?
I don't know. It's
Ooh.
one of that something. Anyway, Joni Mitchell claimed to have it. I don't know. It was
Mhm.
weird. It came up. It went down. I don't know. Is it still on? Weird.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I sometimes I worry like what is Morgellons? Maybe Morgellons essentially was created in a laboratory and accidentally got out. It leaked out
Yeah,
and
yeah,
now
very possible. Yeah.
I can't believe I think in these terms anymore.
No, that's a very clear way of thinking because they've been able to do genetic engineering since at least what I don't know the 1980s, and the term viral chimera seems strange to us, but when this first thing broke a couple of years ago, I looked it up and I found a lot of papers out there. They use this term. I mean, the scientists in the BSL-4 labs, they use viral chimera.
I mean, I don't even necessarily know what that means. I just, from my understanding, a chimera, isn't that like from Greek mythology, where like an animal, a creature will be like of more than one species?
That's it exactly. So what they do is they take a little bit of DNA from one creature, mix it with a little bit of DNA from another creature, and they create a new organism. And I think that the message from the Greeks and others was that these chimera are not friends to humans. I think it was a warning.
Okay. Right. Like the what's his name? The Minotaur.
Yeah, the Minotaur, they're not nice people. Pegasus, okay. But you got the Sphinx. You got a whole bunch of them, and none of them
Right,
are
you got a whole
really
bunch
nice.
of them.
Medusa, the chimeras are not really what we want. And yet that's what they're doing in these labs all over the place. Gain of function. They call it gain of function research.
Gain of function. There you go. Right,
Yeah.
right. Wow, that's so scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
how can we purposely engineer whatever, a piece of a virus or something?
Well, you
Oh,
want to look up the scariest thing that I've ever looked up. I'll put it in the chat here for you. It's black goo. There's red goo and white goo and gray goo, but black goo is the worst. It's self-replicating, entangled nanotechnology.
right.
So self-replicating.
Right. I remember you talking about this in some of your streams. This is like
we
like
had our
the blob.
goo period. Yeah, that's fucking nasty stuff. And
Do you remember a movie called The Blob?
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's like this big, you just said it. It's like this self-creating thing, and it just gets bigger and bigger. The more you fight it, you just help it. It grows anyway. It grows exponentially. You can't stop it. It'll just destroy. It'll consume the entire earth.
Yep, something like that. It depending on how it's manufactured and what it is, it's a machine that can self-replicate and go out into the environment, change the environment to get what it needs to self-replicate, and then it's entangled, so it works with others to accomplish goals that it's been programmed to accomplish.
Again, so it's basically like the blob. It comes in.
Yeah.
It makes itself bigger, and then as it makes itself bigger, it comes into contact with more and more of the environment, and then once it gains that contact with new aspects or spheres of the environment, it uses those other spheres of those other things in the environment to help perpetuate its central goal of perpetuating itself and growing itself. And does that make any sense?
Well, yeah, although I'm not sure what its goal might be, but don't think of it as a blob outside a human body. Think of it as OGIT 1917 says here, robot cells that are inside your body, using your body to make it. And it makes it, and it spreads itself out of your body into everyone else's body and onto trees and plants and chairs and everything. And then it grows everywhere.
And it grows everywhere. That's the scariness of the technology.
However, what I'm going to say is we exist in a sustainable, I think, type 3 civilization where the demiurge, once that happened, would wash the planet like apparently it's washed it before. It'll freeze it, it'll burn it, it'll flood it. And
so this demiurge that you speak of, if we ever if some mad scientists were to make something like that, the demiurge or someone, maybe the Watchers, would come in and intervene on our behalf and save us.
Well, if the herd gets sick, maybe the best thing to do is just to light the whole field on fire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, I believe there's dangers if this is true. So there's dangers. You don't want to go down that road. You can fuck things up so bad that no one can fix it. Not even somebody with great power can fix it.
Oh,
However,
yeah.
it's just it may not be true, but that black goo is dangerous shit. That's the viral engineering and the black goo. That's all there, and um, there's also just our awakening into our own power to collapse a wave function, and what that means. We've just been given the ever so slightest glimpse of it, and there's other things that humans could do to make it unpleasant for the overseers.
Mm.
However, I believe that the overseers, they do want us to succeed. I think, if you could have a herd of animals,
But when you say, well, hold on, but when you say succeed, I mean, but they probably want to keep us in our place, right? They wouldn't want us usurping them, right? They wouldn't, you know what I
oh
mean?
God, no. That's why I think they're injecting us with shit, because they want to know what we're thinking individually, and be able to destroy us before we think a thought that could overtake them. Well, I think we have to agree to that before we could join them. In other words,
I see. So it's a state of perpetual servitude.
no. There's freedom in this. Um, I think that our main purpose is to collapse a wave function. We don't have to give our babies over so they suck the blood or anything. That's humans probably doing that. But I think that it's like a cooperative where you play your part. And I think that we can never be told our part. I think I know our part. And that's why, I'm telling you, because you asked. But I think if we know our part, then we're no longer usable. So they're going to lie to us the whole way. So even if you think,
and then once, so they're purposely lying to us to distract us from
to keep us useful. To keep us useful.
Right. And that's why they do it. They do it because we provide use to them. But once we once we matriculate to this level where we can collapse a wave function, we free ourselves, or we no longer have to serve them, or what,
Yeah, we maybe become aware of what we're doing, and then because we're aware of what we're doing, we can no longer do it. So it's self-defeating in some way. But then, maybe they'll keep us around because we gave them a lot. I mean, I think we gave them a lot. We gave them 400 years of massive resources. So I think they're looking for electrons. So we give them electrons, and from the electrons, they can recollapse that into stuff, or just take what's out there. So,
okay.
We've collapsed a massive universe of material for them. So they're favorably directed towards us, but there's limits.
I remember listening to David Icke. I assume you've heard of David Icke.
Oh yeah, I know David Icke. Know of David Icke. Yeah.
Right, you know of him. Yeah, right. So he talks about the idea that like these archons and these dragons, or I guess he talks about reptilian humanoids. He says they farm us also in a way, but it's more like they want to elicit in us negative emotions, and then those emotions again are absorbed somehow by them. Think waves, like we're sending out waves, or we have an aura maybe, and they harvest those negative emotions, and it sort of nourishes them or feeds them or something like that.
So that's Rudolf Steiner as well, with his interpretation of the archons. The archons were mentioned by the Gnostics about 2,000 years ago at an inflection point. And the archons are the watchers. That's it. They're the angels, the watchers, the aliens. And
okay.
Is that
stuff like in Nag Hammadi, those
and
stuff?
That's
that's who you think the watchers are. So the watchers are parasitic off of us.
No,
right? They're like
no. So that's the difference. And not all the Gnostics even thought this. In fact, only one group, I think, did. The archons are merely angels, or the watchers. So they don't feed off us individually, although they might be able to do something good or bad to us. But it's Rudolf Steiner who said that they generate negative emotion and then feed off of it. I don't think that's thinking big. I don't know what sort of energy they're taking. And these entities, if they are real, they also exist in this universe, and everything in this universe that is real is measurable. So we can't measure this energy. It's not out there. So I think this is fiction.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So it's not
however,
real.
we know what's real by looking at the world, by doing measurements of the world, and experiments that give us consistent results. This is the real world, and feeding off of negative emotions. I don't think there's enough energy there. There's no more than the power that humans create in our own personal electromagnetic system, which isn't much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Corey.
So what do you think of things like let's say emotions, joy, anger, frustration, all these emotions. Uh, do you equate? Is it just a cascade of? Is it just a chemical reaction? When you're experiencing, let's say, extreme anguish, would you say you're giving off a certain vibration?
Well, can you measure it?
I mean, I don't know. Have you ever stepped into a room or whatever, stepped into a car, and you can sort of sense that the person next
Yeah.
to you is upset, or that
Yep.
they're in a good mood, or
Yep, that's right. You walk into a room and you say the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. And I have walked into rooms like that, and I know of other ways that there's communication between people that you know, uh, like a yawn is contagious, and a yawn is contagious at a distance, and a yawn is contagious through walls. And there's another one I give out as well. A fake yawn doesn't work. Well,
no, right.
anyway, yeah, there is some of this, but it's not material. It's not large enough of power to warrant this type of investment. They're looking for something big. Think big, and so yeah, I think they want us to succeed and move to the next level. They're pushing us. It's a nasty type of thing, and I think they're going to want something. And at the very end, we're still not going to know the truth.
Okay, just because you brought it up, why? I've noticed this as well. I've noticed this 100 times. Why is a yawn contagious?
No
Um,
one knows. No one knows.
well, isn't it like, I don't know, like it's okay, if you're in a room and if you're at a dinner party or something, whatever, there's 10 people and someone yawns, almost invariably someone else is going to yawn almost immediately afterwards. Have you noticed
Yes,
that?
and they're not in a line of sight with them too.
No. They can be in the other room. One person can
Yeah,
be in the dining room. The
yeah,
other person can be in the kitchen.
and no one knows. I looked it up a while ago because it was there's something in this. There is abilities that humans have but don't develop because we develop language and we develop other skills. We utilize our brain for other things, but we could have used them for something like this. And if you became aware of these powers and were able to use them in combination with a collapse of a wave function, that's, I think, the greater power. So you've heard about the guy who claims to be able to bend spoons, right?
No, although I do remember something like that from the movie The Matrix or something.
That's right. So there was this guy who claimed to be able to bend spoons, and he would take you into a room and he would bend the spoon, you come out and he bend the spoon. But then he tried to do it in public or tried to do it in front of a TV camera in a room or something, and it would never work. Now, given what I said about the double slit experiment, I can explain how he can bend the spoon. So what he does is he takes a person into a room. There's a spoon there. He convinces that person by means of some type of mental activity that there is no spoon. He lies to himself that there is no spoon, and that's very difficult to do. Then he collapses a wave function of a bent spoon, and the spoon is bent. Okay.
That sounds incredible.
Now, what you want to look up for this is this category of people called wild children, and in particular one that I studied not a great deal, but just enough to know that holy shit. So this wild child was Jeannie, and she grew up in a horrible situation where her parents kept her locked downstairs in the dark in a potty for 14 years of her life. The first
Oh
14
my
years
God.
they fed her. No, it was a
Oh my
horrible,
God.
horrible, horrible situation. They took her out. They finally got her out, and they put her in the hands of these psychologists to try to sort her out and get her. And she would have this ability because she liked plastic things. So she would see something in plastic and look at it, and people would walk over and give her the plastic thing. And there would be no verbal communication at all. So you wonder how did
telekinesis, or I'm sorry, telepathy.
Yes, something like that. So, this is a very strange thing. And one thinks, as I mentioned before, if you don't develop language, she could never develop language. And this was true of other wild children as well. They could know a word, but they couldn't universalize it. So they didn't get language. But apparently this genie was able to use this brain function for something else.
So it's like have you ever heard that people I don't know, I don't claim to know this, but I've heard that people who are blind, sometimes some of them can develop a very acute, almost supernatural hearing. Have you ever heard of this?
Yeah, no, that's right. No, that's clear in the literature. You lose one sense, the other senses take over parts of the brain that were previously allocated to that sense. Yeah, when it's gone. Yeah, no, that's common. Sense of smell heightens, and hearing, and everything. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of? There was a case study, I think, in France, in the forest. It's called the Ardennes Forest. A young lady who was there was a young girl who apparently was being raised by her grandmother or grandparent, and the grandparent died just as the girl was old enough to sort of raise herself or not succumb. Anyway, so she was born in some like isolated forest area, and she never learned speech.
Yeah.
And when she was found, these learned psychologists of the day, they were unable to teach her speech.
Yeah.
And supposedly we understand now that there is a window of time that speech must develop.
Yeah.
And I think it has to be before like the age of 13 or the age of 12 or something like that. And if you don't speak to children at all, they literally lose. Like there's a window, and you have to learn it within that window. And if you don't learn it, it closes, and then you can never learn speech. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's in there. This is Chomsky as well. Yeah. Yeah, he's a linguistics guy from the 1950s.
MIT, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got interesting things. If you don't use the brain in a certain way before this window closes, you can't use it that way ever, apparently. It's interesting with Japanese people. They cannot hear the difference between L and R. They cannot hear it. And what they found out is if you do not hear the difference between those two letters by the time you're 1 year old, you will never hear the difference between them.
Really?
Yeah.
You
don't have to say it. You just have to hear the difference.
I'm totally going to have to look that up. Language and Spanish was my major at university. Languages are fascinating. Etymology. I'll have to look that up. So Japanese cannot tell the difference between L and R.
Unless they hear it. Yeah. Unless they hear it by 1 year old. Yeah.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
Yeah, look at it's and this goes along with if you don't get certain features of language by a certain age, you don't get any of it. And this Ardennes Forest thing sounds familiar. The Ardennes Forest sounds familiar. It's a wild child example. There's a number of them, and we looked at a bunch of them because this is part of philosophy is to understand how the brain works and to understand how you know what you know. This is epistemology. So
sure,
we looked at this, and
Let me ask
And
you one
again,
or two more,
yeah.
if I can. Let me ask you one or two more questions about secret societies, and then I'm going to end the stream. I unfortunately I do work
Yeah,
today.
no. Yeah, well, geez, get some sleepers on. I don't know, but
Oh yeah, no, it's okay. I typically go to sleep right about this time, but it's okay.
okay.
It's totally okay. No worries.
Yeah, good.
Tell me more about maybe some of your research in again, I'm fascinated with secret societies. I have this idea that it's almost like it's gangland. It's like all these different competing factions. The Yakuza, the Vatican, the Freemasons, the Queen of England. Um, can you give the Rosicrucians? Do you claim to have any knowledge of any of these groups, or what any of them focus on? Any sort of knowledge that any of them have that you think that they have, or anything like that?
Well, the Rosicrucians was a rebirth of a previous line of Hermetic knowledge. So this is Hermetic knowledge, um, and this goes
I
back to
don't. I'm
Hermes.
sorry. I don't know what hermetic means. My modern day understanding of hermetic means like it's airtight, or
Yeah,
something that
sealed.
it's sealed, airtight.
Yeah, yeah. You want to go, and one of the main guys is Hermes Trismegistus. God, it's hard to say.
Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah, that's him. Thrice greatest Hermes. He apparently is Thoth, the Egyptian god. And I'm thinking that Thoth is one of the Watchers who didn't get killed in the deluge. Some of them stayed alive, some of them survived, I think. And he was one of them. So his job apparently was communication. So that's what he kept on doing. And, if you read some of his writings, then you're getting a lot of what the Rosicrucians came up with later on. So I put the Rosicrucians in there. I think they're basically finished now. They were subsumed into the Illuminati, and the Freemasons, and they were basically sort of like a Christian subset. So if you go into the Rosicrucians, they got some of this, knowledge of Hermes, thrice greatest, but it's really just a Christian view of it.
Okay.
Two groups, which I gave you the Orphics as well, but two other groups to me are quite interesting. One is the Mithrans. So this was a mystery sect in Rome, which appealed to Persian god Mithra.
Yeah, Mithra. Yeah.
So why would Romans jump over the Greek tradition and go directly to the source of Mithra? So I think this is interesting. And in that, I would also look at the Etruscan civilization, which is an anomaly.
Those are the Romans, right? The Etruscans are the proto-Romans?
No. They're very different.
Oh.
The Etruscans have their own unique civilization. It was right next door to Rome, and various very interesting and strange things happened over their history, and then it just disappeared.
Well, I wouldn't say it disappeared. I thought, okay, a good way to think of it is the Etruscans were the proto-Romans. I understand that the Etruscans were like just north of that of what you would call the city of Rome, like Tuscany,
That's right.
essentially.
Yeah, Tuscany. There you go. So, yeah, no, it's not that at all. They had a full, complete civilization when the Romans came up, and who was it? Romulus and Remus founded Rome. They had a complete, established one with unbelievable art and culture already.
I see.
Separate, and it died, and then the remnants was, of course, subsumed into Rome as Rome expanded. However, anyway, I think there's a connection between the Mithrans, Mithra, and the Etruscans. And the Mithrans themselves have very interesting rites. And another group is the Assassins.
Is that like the old man on the mountain?
Yes, it is.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because again, I'm sorry, my memory does not serve me. I thought I remember learning.
No.
There was like some old man, and he wanted to. He would use hashish, to bring young men, to teach them to be assassins, and he would send out political killing. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's something in there. I think hash and assassin have a similar root, and I think they smoked it. Why wouldn't you smoke it if you could? Um, they are Ismaili Muslims. So it's a Shia Sufi sect.
They're Sufis.
They're Sufis and they're Shia Sufis. Okay, so in Islam you got the Sunnis and then the Shias, and now they're sort of at war with each
Right,
other.
right. And the Shia
then,
believe that, like, what is it? One of the leaders, you're not supposed to
Ali.
follow that leader and all this
They follow
business.
Ali, and the others follow somebody else. So, however, it's a sort of an interesting break because the Shias are mostly Persian, and the
Right.
Sunnis.
Basically, the entire Muslim world is Sunni, except for the Persian.
No, it's like 35-65%. So it's a sizable Shia minority, sizable.
Okay.
Plus, both sides, both of these camps, as it were, both of these major divisions in the schism, let's say, have Sufis, and the assassins were one of them. And the old man of the mountain, he had apparently the ability to call a Qiyamah.
I don't know what that is. A Qiyamah?
Yeah, and
I don't know what that
Qiyamah
is.
is the end of times. Okay, so they refer to the Qiyamah as a suspension of law.
Okay.
And anyway, I think it wasn't the founder, but it was the next guy, Rashid. He was up there on that castle on the mountain. I had a picture of it. I still do. Pretty spooky place. But he was in negotiations with Richard the Lion-Hearted and stuff, and had to write a letter on his behalf that he didn't kill some guy. And when Richard the Lion-Hearted was taken hostage in Austria. Anyway, so these people had dealings around that time, which was the same time as the Great Flagellation Movement. See?
Okay.
So what it was said was that the old man of the mountain there, he called a Qiyamah in order to rectify the situation of the invasions of the Crusades.
So you're saying that this Qiyamah, which was invoked by the old man on the mountain, or the second in line, this Qiyamah created all this destruction, or this you call it an absence of law in Europe, or in that geographical part of the world?
No, it caused a suspension of law everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay.
And
that's interesting. That's interesting that you bring up Richard the Lionhearted. I was just learning just today about the Welsh or the English longbow. And
great invention.
Yeah, and some of the history behind that, and the history. What's his name? Robin Hood, or Robin of Locksley, and apparently Richard the Lionhearted was not as nice of a guy as we think. And what was it? Once he got back,
none of them were, but judge them in their own timeline, in their own time period.
Sure. And I was learning that apparently Richard the Lionhearted, he outlawed Robin Hood, or Robin of Locksley, and so in order to supposedly, or something, Robin Hood, in order to survive after having all his lands confiscated, he would poach the forests of whatever. He would poach the forest to feed his village or something like this. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, there's some truth in whatever that is. But Richard the Lionhearted, by the time he got back to England, finally he died. He died before he got back, and his brother John took over, and he was broke. He was bankrupt, so he started stealing money from all his barons and everyone in the land.
Sure.
And that's when there was the Great Revolution. We had the Magna Carta.
Right. That was the onset, right, where the barons started rebelling and demanding rights. And
so this was all dealing with this time of the assassins declaring a suspension of law, and we see this same madness affecting us today. So whether it was an assassin being able to call it, or just saying it's happening better than anyone else, we are currently.
So going back to this this man on the mountain. What is this? What is this? Is this a cult? What is the assassin?
Well, it was a sect of Sufis. So they they were mystics. They're mystics. Sufis are mystics, just like the spiritual Franciscans or something.
Right.
And
They believe in mysticism.
yeah, a direct connection with the
The
mystery of the
divine.
universe, with the
Yeah.
divine. Sure. So
Okay. And these assassins, how would you describe them? I'm thinking of them as like essentially a secret society, a cult,
yes,
a religious-based secret society that would engage in political assassinations to try to direct
no,
world
that's
politics.
probably not true. No, that's probably not true. Although they probably killed people. That wasn't their thing.
Okay.
Yeah. What they would do is try to affect the shape and structure of the world in mystical states. So let's think about it as attempting to have a picture of a Mandelbrot set
Yeah.
and seek it out in the world, and then know what's going to come next, and then take action based upon that type of knowledge.
Mhm.
I don't know what to say to that. Okay, but can you repeat that?
Okay, so imagine you have an image,
Okay.
say along a Mandelbrot set, which is a mathematical function, and you can predict the future of what the shape of the universe is going to be like in its hidden forms. And then,
Okay.
because it's a mathematical function, you have an image of it, then you see it appear and you know what's going to happen next, and you're able to take steps to benefit from that.
I see.
This is a mystical appreciation of the universe. These are the symbols that they use. At one point, it's a fasce. At another point, it's a tetrasect.
Oh
And
yeah.
another,
What did you think? What did you think of that little tale that I told you guys? You had stepped away, but it sounded like you would come back. Like again, I see this as like I liken it to like gangs
yeah,
communicating with each other. Why
yeah.
would someone at the corner of Addison and Pulaski here on the northwest side of Chicago, and this is it was a very nice big, I don't know, made of bronze or some sort of metal. Why would they make it? Do you know what a super cube is? Or
Yeah,
yeah, the Tesseract. Yeah,
that's right. I know what it is. Yeah,
yeah,
it's one of these mathematical figures. And a
someone put up
fasce,
a super cube,
yeah.
and then 2 years later, it was gone, and then there was and it was by the way, it was a broken fasci. It wasn't just a fasci; it was a broken fasci.
How was it broken?
Um, the the bundles, the little sticks were no longer it was no longer bound. You know how the
Oh, that's
fascia is
not
like.
good. That's not good.
Well, I
That's
don't
bad.
know what it means, but what I'm
That's bad
saying,
mojo. But the bundling means that everything's united and you're together.
right.
And
No, I understand the
when you
concept
break
of the
it, it
fascia.
falls apart. It's a falling apart, which is where we are now, right? Everything's falling apart. And
Well, so it seems to us, right. Yeah, that's right. It was a
I think,
broken fascia. Now that I
yeah,
think about it,
no, that's a very different thing. That's a
but there was
warning. That's a symbol about what's going to happen. And so we're dealing with symbols. And if you can get into a place, into a zone, an artistic zone, a mystical zone, whatever zone it is, I think at least politically, geostrategically, Coach Red Pill is in a zone right now. And he's going to stumble across some greatness. He's going to stumble across some shit because he talks a lot, but he's going to get the greatness. And holy shit, he's just day after day. Some of this stuff is golden. And I don't, fully like the guy, at least in the past. But this is what happens when you get into a mystical sect, whether it's the Freemasons, the Orphics, the Pythagoreans, whatever, is that you get a vision because you're using a symbol to filter out what's not important or to filter in what is important. And you're able to see what's going on more clearly.
I'm sorry. Why do you bring up Coach Red Pill? Have you been listening to him recently? Is there something he's been? What's going on?
He's in Kharkiv in Ukraine, reporting from there on the events going on
Yes, right. You're talking. I'm sorry. You're right. I made a video about him. He was caught up by the he was
Yeah,
abducted
yeah,
temporarily by their security service.
yeah. He got let out and forgot. He's still saying what he was saying before. So he's living on the edge, but he's in this zone, this zone where you can see into the future. It's like a mystical state almost.
I see.
And these secret societies, they pay money for guys to go in to these states. You know, they don't bring him into private public company. They don't invite him to a big meeting, but they want to get this sort of insane knowledge, the insane knowledge that I just perhaps passed on this evening. They
Okay.
pay money for it because you know
Can you can you talk a little bit about? I'm not claiming that you know about this, but if you do, right now would be a great time to share it. What do you know? What do you know about symbolisms? Yeah, what's it called? Semaphorology. Uh,
semiotics, semiotics.
I'm sorry. In Spanish, the word for streetlights is semáforo.
Yeah, yeah,
Semáforo. And in English, it's like semography or something. The study of like sigils and flags and
yeah, yeah. The study of
signs.
signs. We call it, I think, normally semiotics.
Okay.
This is the
Okay.
philosophical discipline. The main guy who started it was Charles Sanders Peirce, an American pragmatist or pragmaticist, and it is the most difficult of all subjects in philosophy that I can determine. Uh, it
Again, say it again. Semiotics.
Yeah, semiotics. I wrote it in the chat for you,
Oh, right.
and
Okay.
no worries. And yeah, it's the study of signs, and I didn't take any course dedicated to Charles Sanders Peirce, and I sort of regret that now. I think I need a guide, um, but anything I ever read on this subject by him and heard in lectures on him, it got very difficult very quickly. It's like really high level logic, but it's slippery because the problem in talking about symbols is that you have to use symbols to talk about symbols. Every word
Sure.
I utter is a symbol. And so, how do you actually get to the actual um, thing that is? I think I've answered that in that the thing that um, is sustainability. That if you are able to not die prematurely, not get thrown in prison, uh, not be a slave, then whatever it is you're doing, you have got a handle on reality, and your language and symbols are appropriate to that reality. That there is no absolute truth to anything except living long enough to talk about it.
Okay.
Because
And
in this world,
for the
yeah,
people who are unfortunate enough to, let's say, find themselves, maybe they were born in a bad situation. They were born in a low socioeconomic tier, and they end up in prison. You're saying they failed somehow to pick up the right use of symbols?
yep,
And so what? They're not good at communicating with the symbols that they
no,
have, or they didn't
yeah,
pick up
no,
enough symbols?
it's maybe it's not their fault as such because we're thrown into the world, into an environment, and you either get enough information to navigate through that bad situation or you don't. And obviously they didn't. But that can change. They're only in prison. You get out of prison, you go in the straight and narrow, you can live the rest of your life free.
Sure.
Okay? So you had a bad incident, you learn from it, and then you move on and you move safe. Okay?
Right, right, right.
And so I say that there's no central truth, but that's not to say that there is not truth and that the truth is not intersubjectively verifiable. Between two people, some things are true, as in if I'm standing on a train tracks and I say the train tracks are real and the train coming down the tracks is real and I'm getting off and you say, no, the train tracks are not real, the train is not real, and I'm not going to have to move. Then I move, and then suddenly I got no one to talk to, and I got some explaining to do to the police when they come. So, yes, there is an objective, as such, an intersubjectively verifiable reality of which there is a truth. However, what might happen is I step off the train tracks, the train goes off the rail suddenly because of something and hits me, and the guy lives who stays on the tracks. You could just have bad luck.
However unlikely. However
unlikely. But in this world, if you play the odds, if you take the right symbols and signs and play the odds, you're likely to, as I say, lead a demonstrated, sustainably lived life. As Mgtow, I believe, is the center point of that approach. Take reality first and live a life, and then you know truth, and then I want to listen to you.
Okay. Can you talk about things like one example would be like the Star of David, or a pitchfork, or do you know, like on a lot of electronic devices, that on sign, which is it's like a circle that's not completed, and like a stick sticking out of it. You may know what I'm talking about. Or like the Nike sign, which is, some people say is like the sign for Saturn. So I'm trying to steer the conversation a little bit into occult symbols. Can you talk about occult symbology?
Yes. I'm just working on that at the moment. Sigils. I've got a large collection now of sigils. Got it from Fred Gettings, and I've been looking at it. And
I'm sorry, but before I let you continue, let me introduce another idea that's very similar, really. There's a gentleman. You tell me what you think of this. Is this crazy? There's a gentleman I listened to. He's over at Room 313. He's also known as Thomas Sheridan. Have you ever heard of Thomas Sheridan?
Yeah. I've dropped in once or twice. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. Okay. So he claims that he has captured a demon. He uses the word demon, and he claims that you can do it by essentially creating a sigil. And you put it into a glass bottle, and there's some copper tubing, and gets in one way, and then it gets stuck in there. And he claims that demons are real, and demons are self. They're he describes them as swirling vortexes of energy that are sentient. Have you ever heard of any of this? Do you believe in any of that? Is any of that? What do you think of it? What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's I don't know Thomas Sheridan. I recognize the name. That's about it. Demons and angels seem to be the same thing. However, I'm going to say there's two types. One type takes a physical form, like a human form, and these, I think, are the watchers as they appear to people, and they just put the label angel on them. But I've been looking at the Kabbalah angels and all sorts of other angels. They say there's millions and millions and millions of them. In fact, everything has an angel, everything. And so with this type of angel, it's a force. So it's not like it's a sentient creature, but it's like a sentient force. And this is what I was sort of talking about when we get to the very edge of the universe, where you meet what's not in the universe, but makes up the universe at this very edge of our space, that we have all these forces, and they come in. Time comes into the universe, but it's not in the universe. It's of the universe, and we have to deal with it. So if you have one of these forces, and I'm going to put in the Mandelbrot set as an example. So we have this mathematical formula, which if you capture it in a picture, then you have an image of it, and then you can use it for some benefit. So in his case, he's says he's captured some type of force in a bottle with copper. This sounds to me like it's a similar force like the collapse of a wave function, which I would give as well as calling either an angel or a demon in the sense of a hidden force. And so this world is absolutely filled with hidden forces, one of them being, say, the Fibonacci series. Why is this force of this mathematical equation apparent in flowers and shellfish and images of perfect forms?
It's just a ratio, right? Isn't
It's
it a
just a
mathematical
ratio.
ratio? It looks like a
What
conch shell.
Yeah, a conch shell. What's it doing appearing in all these places? Who put it there? This is this hidden force, which some people might call a demon or an angel. And, we know as humans, we're driven by things. What is driving us to do this? Well, this is one of those hidden forces that drives humans. We have hidden forces that drive the ocean. We have hidden forces that drive a drop of water. And so, yeah, you can look at these nearly invisible things like neutrinos, and they would have hidden forces associated with them. Maybe we can figure them
A
out. Maybe we
neutrino.
can't.
I'm sorry. What is a neutrino? Isn't that like a subatomic particle?
Yeah, it's like an electron.
Well, I thought. I'm sorry. Again, please excuse my ignorance. I thought an electron is an atomic particle. So we're talking about size, and a neutrino is like a subatomic particle. So it's like by an order of magnitude smaller or something.
Yeah, that's same with electron. They're vastly smaller. Their class is what, these primary particles or something, elementary particles.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So it's like
Wow.
one level down. You got gluons and muons and neutrinos and electrons, and they have colors and spins. Again, this is still unfinalizable. So, Sith asked about a final connection points in cells. No, don't look for a final. Just keep on going down. It'll never end. The symbols will turn into something else and will turn into something else. And if you can capture one of these forces, maybe you can. Apparently, Solomon captured some of these forces and built the temple. And that these signs, whether it's the sign of Saturn or the sign of, turning on a device, these signs maybe are a call, like an attraction, to some force to come visit. And so we can look at Lorentz attractors, which I've talked about. I just stumbled across them about 6 months ago. And they are equally one of these forces that surround us, and we don't know they're there until we find some way, some artistic way of showing them to be there. And once we know they're there, we can, predict what's going to happen. And these are massive resources.
Can you talk for a minute about the world of sound or the world of music, let's say? How does that relate to what we're talking about? I think earlier in the conversation, you very briefly covered the idea that sometimes the nature of reality can be revealed through music or something like that. You remember saying something like that?
Oh yeah, no, I'm into an artistic expression, like a mystical expression, a holistic expression that while rational, if you look at it, doesn't arrive by a rational method. And so
okay, like for example, the utterance, the utterance of what they call Om, or the sacred Om. Have you heard of this? I'm sure.
Yeah.
My understanding of the Om is basically it's a connection of all 5 vowels of the English language, starting with what is it? I can't remember. It's like it starts with U or no? I can't remember. But it's all the vowels. It's all the vowels in a way being said at the same time, or something like that.
Yeah.
And all the consonants are essentially a break of that. So creating a vibration, that constitutes like a break of that. Does that make any sense, or what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, no, that's it exactly. The vowels seem to take on an importance, and some languages, including Hebrew, don't have vowels, or at least ancient Hebrew didn't. And there's a special name for these alphabets that don't have vowels, and you just put in the vowels, and people learn what they are, and you write the consonants only. And so this is a call, like you're calling something. And so you call something, and something then comes to you, as in you call a Mandelbrot set, and something calls back. It's just with the sound, you're doing it in frequencies, and the Mandelbrot set,
Okay,
you're doing it in numbers.
does this sound crazy? And I can attest to this myself. I can testify that I have done this before. I will say I will utter the word Om, or the utterance Om, and I almost feel like an electrical feeling go through my a pulse through my body. Have you ever heard of this?
Yeah, no, I haven't, but that makes perfect sense. Sympathetic vibrations.
Yeah, okay, so I would I don't know how to describe it. I could almost think of the concept of Om, and I feel almost like an uplifting feeling. Have you ever heard of that?
Okay, yeah, that can happen, but that's you're now stimulating your brain to create a feeling. But the sympathetic vibration is like you wet your finger and rub it along the top of a wine glass, and you make a sound.
Okay.
So the vibration creates the sound. So the saying of the Om reacts with your nerve system if you say it the right way.
So what is Om then? You just said the saying Om, it reacts with your nervous system. What is
Yeah.
Om?
Well, it's just a sound that's going to react with your nervous system. Yeah, some people would have a different sound. You just got lucky and got the right one.
Why is it that the what is it? Is it the Buddha, the Hindus? I think I can't remember.
Hindus. That's the Hindus.
The
Yeah.
They claim that it's a sacred utterance, that it's holy.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Because it vibrates at a certain frequency, and that stimulates their nervous system or something?
Yeah, maybe somebody got into it and had that happen. You know, a lot of things come out of India that are great in a mystical sense and other senses. It's a very learned, smart culture. Yeah, and it's had interactions with their own collection of watchers, and I don't think they succeeded. I could be absolutely wrong on that. I don't think they were the chosen ones, but I could be wrong.
Who are the chosen? Who are the chosen ones? The Jews, as they say.
No.
The Israelites. That's a joke. That's a joke.
No, it's not. The Abrahamics. Abraham was the first part of the plan to get out of the problems with the Nephilim having sex with humans, right? So Abraham was the solution to it. So was Zoroaster and Nakan in Egypt. They were all monotheists. Zoroaster and Abraham survived a long time, and then Abraham's the one that's left with 3 different versions at least.
Sure.
But they were chosen, and if you look at the Testament of Abraham, which I didn't mention before, you'll find that why were the Israelis chosen? Why were the Abrahamics chosen? Well, Abraham asked God, and God said, I want you to number the stars. So when I found that text, and other texts have it in a different way.
I thought God said your descendants will be as numerous as the stars. That's
good one. That appears in what? Genesis and one other place. But if you look at the Testament of Abraham, no, he asked, what do you want me to do? And God said, apparently to Abraham, I want you to number the stars. So it's like that in the Testament of Abraham and one other place as well.
What does that mean? I want you to number them. I want you to start observing them.
Well, that's what I take it to be, to put a mathematical understanding on it, which I say succeeded with Copernicus.
Okay.
So that was that one. But your question, I think I forgot completely. Got off on a sidetrack.
Now I have forgotten it. Let me ask you one more question about symbology, and then we'll end this. I'm sorry, I do eventually have to get to sleep.
Yeah, no, you can end it any time. It's still
right. No, we will. I really want to hammer home. I just want to hit a little bit more on symbology. I'm absolutely fascinated by it. I think that there's this entire hidden world of symbols, of symbolism that most people, again, like I told this tale. Like I was with this girl, and I'm like, hey, look at that sculpture. that used to be a supercube. Now it's a fasci. I don't know if I used the word fasci back then, but I
Yeah,
told her, I
yeah,
said, look at that, it used to be this. And she was like, huh, what, huh? Totally oblivious to what I'm talking about. And I'm
exactly.
thinking in the back of my mind, how come it's at the north, the I guess it would be the northeast corner, and how come the building that stands at this corner has been unoccupied for the last 40 years? And I know because I grew up in that neighborhood, and it, whatever. Supposedly it used to be like a law office or a law firm, and no, it's never open. It's totally empty. You could see it in the windows, and I don't know. It was the weirdest thing, and I've become fascinated with symbols and symbology. See, what I thought these symbols are essentially the way that the controller level people communicate with each other, if you
Yes.
will. It's how the Masons um, communicate with the Rosicrucians. It's how the Masons speak with. It's how the Jesuits are talking to the other orders. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, no,
Essentially,
they have that. They have a symbolic communication. Yeah.
what's your take on gematria? Is it real?
Um, yeah, but it's accidental. Again, I think the most interesting thing about those two sculptures is that they changed because any given symbol will only be effective for so long because the world changes. The world has good luck, bad luck, risk. The world changes. So the symbols are only good for so long in any type of esoteric uh, or occult ability. Then you got to change it.
What is the meaning behind? I think I understand what the meaning behind a fasci is. It's the idea of centralized power. What's the idea behind a super cube or a tesseract? I shouldn't say a tesseract. My understanding is a tesseract is a 2D interpretation of a supercube. A supercube is a 3D version of a tesseract.
I looked into tesseracts a while ago. Oh, it's a four-dimensional analog of a cube.
It's like a cube within a cube. Imagine a cube
Yeah,
and
I
then
got
a
it. It's
larger
a.
cube.
This is a great thing. Uh, it's a four-dimensional analog of a cube. So a cube is 3 dimensions, and a tesseract would be what that cube would look like if you were able to see it from a fourth dimensional perspective. But
Right.
we
Okay.
cannot. We cannot see things from a fourth dimensional perspective because we
Is
live in a three-dimensional universe.
isn't the fourth dimension time as we experience it?
I used to bandy that about, but no, time is its own law of physical nature, and spatiality is its own law of physical nature. This was an idea created by Einstein to help his mathematics, and it's not necessarily effective to a sustainable and useful conception of the universe. So
Oh, what is time? Mgtow values.
time is a law of physical nature, which does not exist within the universe, but it structures the universe so that we may exist within it. And our being, our individual being, has time within it. So we couldn't exist if we didn't, have time within us, as well as all the other laws of physical nature, whatever they may be, in total. So
Mm.
we're like a microcosm of whatever structures the universe as a whole. The same thing in a miniature structures each of us.
As above, so below.
As above, so below.
Is there anything else you can add quickly about symbols, symbology in connection to what you can call these hidden schools of learning or these secret societies?
I think they're wrong most of the time. So,
Really?
oh yeah, because as I say, the symbols change because the universe itself changes. The only thing permanent is change. So the symbol's good for a while. And I point to these artists. I'm thinking I always go back to Thomas Dolby in the golden age of radio. There's something about that album which is he just lucked into something. He clued in, everything aligned, and he did it. And he spoke about something, bigger than I think he knew he was speaking about. And other artists do it with a painting, with a book, whatever it is. And mystics do it in a mystical experience, and they put down a symbol, but that symbol is not good for 10 years in the future. That symbol might just be good for now. It's like a labyrinth. You got a key to a labyrinth, but it's only good for this labyrinth today. Somebody might switch the labyrinth. So this is the key for today. You go through it. I conceived of every symbol as like a key or a map to get through a labyrinth. And one day it works, the next day it doesn't. Hey, look, another 3 years down the road, it works again, and then it doesn't.
Okay, you were saying earlier again how at the corner of Addison and Pulaski, I saw those two bronze, or what, I don't know what they were made of, metal sculptures, and you said that the important part is that they changed.
Yeah. Why did they change it? Why did
Is
they
that
change
what you
it?
meant by that?
You know, what did they know that caused them that they wanted to change that? So whatever effect it had in the first iteration no longer has an effect. So they changed it to something else. Did they have an insight into that this 4-dimensional thing is suddenly becoming more important?
And here's a good question to ask you. Not that you know, but you know, if you want to speculate, who the heck put up those sculptures? I mean, I don't think it was. I don't think it was, you know, the city of Chicago. I mean, and that's another thing, you know, because I lived in that.
Who put up the Georgia Guidestones?
Yeah, right. Okay, okay, that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Who like I'm literally asking you right here, right now, who put them up? I didn't put them up. You can go online and watch videos of them.
Yeah, no idea. I looked it up. I've been looking it up. There's more and more information, but there's fewer and fewer answers.
Well, and not just that. I don't see any like I don't see any group openly and publicly coming out saying it was us who put it up.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I don't know. It's one of the strangest
so we can know who you are.
Yeah,
so,
well, yeah. Why are you saying there should be 500 million people when there's 7 billion of us? Who in the fuck do you think is going to leave the planet, and why? You know, I looked up the Georgia Guidestones, and I found the county that it was in, and I looked up the history of that county, and that county is basically one family, and there's still only like 5,000 people in that county. So after 120 years, you figure, well, maybe half of that family sticking around with a few, you know, patriarchs and matriarchs in there. They would have to approve it, right? They'd be the mayor or whatever. They just have to say, okay, you can build it. So I'm thinking this family built it or allowed it to be built. Well, who in the fuck is in that family that knows so much that they think they can put this on it? You know, I don't know.
I see. Well, then let me just ask you straight. Who do you think built that?
Well, I don't know. Some family with some tie to a
secret society.
Well, you know, the Venetian black nobility or something like that. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
You know, they think they know something. They think they have a connection. Maybe they came up with some, you know, family, you know, secret message passed down for 4 generations, and you know, maybe they know about Tiamat, right? One of the last comments here in the chat was Tiamat, who's a snake goddess in the Mesopotamian school, and you know, this is part of esoteric knowledge. If you know about Tiamat, you can move up in the order of the you know, golden whatever, and these people, and you know, you should know about Tiamat. This is a lizard person, right? Tiamat's a lizard person of David Icke. And they've got sculptures of these lizard people in Mesopotamia with wings. What the fuck are you going to think?
Yeah, right.
And you see
again, just because you bring them up, you know. Yeah, I remember learning. I don't know if it was through David Icke or maybe someone else. Learning about the sacred texts of the Mesoamericans, chiefly the Aztecs and the Inca. No, not the Inca. They were South America. The Maya and the Aztecs. And the name of their sacred text was called the Popay Vuh. Have you heard of the Popay Vuh?
Well, I've heard about the text. Yeah, I like the Maya.
Supposedly, what was it? I think it was called the Dresden Codex. Was how we were able to decipher the Pape Vu, or we were able to figure. We were able to, decipher their I don't know what to call it, a sacred text, their Bible, the form of their Bible. Supposedly, have you ever heard of this? Supposedly, their chief god is like a 12-foot lizard creature that flies, and it's and supposedly it can morph into a man with blonde hair and blue eyes. Have you heard of this?
No, but I would accept it. Yeah. Why not?
Again, it's called the Pape Vu. The Pape, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I've heard of this. And I remember. I thought I remember in relation to David Icke that I don't know. He was talking about this whole dragon myth all across the world. How the Asian countries there's a dragon myth, and I think in Catholicism there's even a dragon myth. What's the story of was it Saint Michael kills a dragon?
That's right. Yeah, the Leviathan, Ouroboros. There's a whole lot of serpents. There's a lot of serpents. One of the Gnostic sects is serpentine. Yeah. Are you gone? What happened? I think something's happened. I think something's happened. Yes, indeed. I'm in the show. And I think I'm alone in the show now. We were talking about serpents, and we got closed down. I think this may be a good time to end it. I think the serpents is a good subject for a later conversation. Thank you, Mgtow Cowboy, for a great discussion, and everyone in the chat for sticking through. I don't know what time it is there, but it's probably getting early. Somebody's out. I think I'll give him the opportunity to jump back in as opposed to going. But I think he's got to go somewhere, and I got to go somewhere. So anyway. It looks like he's not jumping back in right away, so I'll feel free to end the stream here. Let me get out. Thanks all.